Blue skies are gray. It's a great time to consider getting vaccinated against COVID-19. Sponsored by BioNTech and Pfizer.
Don't miss the only weekly hour of radio dedicated to Dayton Flyers basketball. It's Talking Out Loud, hosted by Sully. Thursday nights at 6 p.m. on Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM, and online at wingam.com. All sports, all the time. This is 1410 ESPN Radio. We're live. We're local.
What are you going to miss? He struck him out.
We're Dayton's ESPN radio station. Now, let's send it to the WING studios for Dayton's only local sports talk show. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Orion Sports Medicine.
All right, everybody, welcome in. Justin Kinner with you here on a Wednesday. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash. Mine is Kev Nash as we close out the final week before Christmas. We're live on YouTube. We're live on Facebook. We're live on 1410 Wing AM. Welcome in, everybody. Hope everyone's had a great day. I know that my day is far from being over. We have 3 hours of a lot of fun to still have here today. Still got a lot of Christmas shopping to do. My fiance is like me. She also waits to the very last moment. So although I've been saying, hey, maybe we should knock out some of our Christmas shopping, she said, no, we're good. No, we're good. Well, today she finally was bitten by the panic bug because she texted me at lunch saying, we got to go to the store. We got to get all our shopping done. We got to go here. We got to go. She's freaking out. And I'm sure a lot of you are in that same boat. So let's take our mind off the, all the hustle and bustle of the holidays right now. And let's just focus on the world of sports, shall we? I'm Justin Kinner hanging out with you here on Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM. We do have the phone lines open at 518-1410, 518-1410. Of course, you could find me on Twitter as well at 1410 Kinner, KINNER. How about this? There's a lot of different ways you could crown a national champion. You can have just like the old BCS, system. You got the old BCS era where just, hey, whoever's the number one team, boom, that's your national champion, right? Or before the BCS, you could just have a BCS championship game where it's just 1 versus 2, and boom, that's your national championship. You could do a college football playoff with 4 teams, 2 semifinal matchups, a champion, or you could just crown a champion through forfeiture, right? How's that sound? That sounds fun, right? College football playoff champion can be crowned via COVID-related forfeit, the new policy states. I'm amazed when COVID obviously started in March of 2020. You can argue and debate about it coming to this country sooner, but I don't really care about that aspect of this sports conversation. But we learned a lot in a very quick amount of time as far as how these teams and pro sports leagues and college athletics was going to navigate through this. And it amazes me that here we are heading into 2022. Since this arrived here in March of 2020, we are still having college athletics make policy changes right before the 3 biggest games of the season, and that's the 2 semifinals, the national championship. It's amazing to me that here we are in week 15, heading into week 16, but week 15 of the NFL season was so chaotic. It was such a mess that you had a professional NFL, professional football league having to, totally rewrite a policy that should have already been put in place. How are these sports so not prepared? Is COVID new? I actually feel like these pro sports leagues and college athletics in general, I feel like they did a better job in the early goings of COVID when we knew less than what they're doing right now. The fact that the NFL had to change up its policy on how to handle an outbreak amongst vaccinated players, I think that's amazing to me. You didn't have that already prepared? Like the Cleveland Browns situation, the Rams situation, I believe another team today, I can't remember. I mean, Washington had a similar situation. There's another, the Jets. Today, I think like 15 players have tested positive. I think the majority of them are all vaccinated. Like there was no plan. Like it was the Browns that had to bring this attention. It took a tweet from Baker Mayfield to call out the front office, to call out the league, to change their policy because they didn't have a policy set in place in preparation for this. Like, I don't get that. How do you not have this planned? If you are the college football playoff committee, you're just now coming out with the policy, and it's a bad one. You're just now coming out with the policy of how to deal with COVID during your 3 most biggest games of the season. Because remember, bowl games don't count. As much as I love Ohio State and I love the concept of the Rose Bowl, it's not your father's Rose Bowl anymore. This is our Rose Bowl, and it's not so pretty. That doesn't matter. The exhibition game with Utah, that doesn't matter. I saw Texas A&M. I say everyone today, oh, I'm so heartbroken for Texas A&M. Their bowl game was canceled. You mean that meaningless bowl game that all the NFL stars are sitting out of left and right and that coaches are bailing on? You want me to feel sorry all of a sudden because a bowl game is canceled? I don't care about that. We care about 3 games and 3 games only. We care about the 2 semifinal matchups in the college football playoff, Alabama, Cincinnati, Michigan, and Georgia, and then whoever's going to meet in the national championship game. Those 3 games matter. That's it. That's it. That's the only 3 games that matter. So I find it fascinating that those are the 3 games that matter more than anything else. And we're just now, as we sit here on December 22nd, 2021, we're just now getting a policy released from the college football playoff committee on how they're going to handle this during COVID. That's weird. That's weird. And it's not even a good one. ESPN's Heather Dinich, who's been on the show a lot throughout the years, she wrote an article about this new COVID policy. She states that a new college football playoff policy written this week in response to the surging variant allows for a team to advance to the national championship and ultimately win it by its opponents having to forfeit, according to an updated set of COVID-19 policies the college football playoff released on Wednesday. If only there wasn't 30 freaking days between Selection Sunday and a little less than 30, but, I'm being dramatic. If only there wasn't 30 freaking days to be able to get a game in, right? We're going to sit here and say that, hopefully you stay healthy. Hopefully you don't get COVID. I saw Bill O'Brien, some other key members of Nick Saban's Alabama coaching staff will miss the first playoff game, possibly the remainder of the season after testing positive for COVID. So we're already starting to see sprinkles of it. All right. It could be smooth sailing from here on out until the day before or the day of the college football playoff or the national championship game. And then what? If the Bearcats, by the way, the Bearcats aren't out of the woods yet. Keep in mind, everyone keeps saying that, man, this has a lot of similar feels to the 2020 Dayton Flyers on the college basketball side. A magical season, a bunch of doors being knocked down, history being made, especially in today's modern era of college basketball, modern era of college football. I know UD is no stranger to the big stage, so don't get me wrong, but like in today's college basketball, it's difficult for an A-10 team to become the number 3 team in the country and to potentially be one of the number 1 seeds in the NCAA tournament. That's how special that 20 team was, right? This Bearcat team on the football side of things has a lot of very similar vibes as the Dayton Flyers did years ago, or just, I guess, last year, right? That sounds weird. Doesn't that season seem forever ago? By the way, we're 2 seasons removed from that Obi Toppin season, and yet that was technically just March of last year, technically. But with all that being said, it's been a magical year for the Bearcats. Can you imagine the week of the college football play? So next week, can you imagine next week after Christmas? It's the most wonderful time of the year, and it becomes the most miserable time of the year. You find out that the Bearcats season ends due to forfeiture because of a COVID outbreak on the roster. That's insane to me. That's insane. And there's no other way to handle this other than the forfeiture approach. I just have a huge problem with that. You get to these 3 biggest games of the season. You go through everything that you go through all regular season long. You've dealt with COVID all season. You've let the conferences in isolation decide how they're going to approach it. Put fans in the stands, no fans, vaccinated only fans, a complete petri dish of fans. Who cares, right? The college football didn't care. Playoff didn't care. Just set us up for a playoff, would you? Just to get to the week before to finally come out with the COVID policy. That's a joke. And this is a joke. And you know what? I know I poked fun at that Texas A&M. I don't even remember what the heck bowl game they're in. But I actually think canceling in general is just ridiculous. And I know they're trying to find another opponent, but man, they're struggling finding an opponent. I guess Rutgers, they reached out to Rutgers to try to get them to fill the spot to be Texas A&M's opponent. And, everyone's turning it down because, these guys haven't practiced. They haven't practiced. They're not even in class right now. Finals are wrapped up. Everyone's home for the holidays. Now you want these players from all around the country who have basically either ended their college football careers or have at least put it on pause to focus on the holidays before they, resume classes and everything in January. You want them to stop everything all over the country, outbreaks all over the place. You want everyone from all around the country to come back to one spot and start practicing out of nowhere again to prepare for a meaningless bowl game. It's bogus. It's bogus. Look, I don't really care. No matter what happens when you start talking about the approach to having to play and work and live during COVID, you're always going to offend somebody. Oh, typical. You're part of the problem. Oh, you're part of the problem because you're living in fear. And, you can go back and forth on both sides of this all you want. But the bottom line is this. What was the purpose of pushing the vaccine if the vaccine still isn't doing what you were told it would do? And now you're still punishing those who got that vaccine just to be able to play football. And now you're going to tell them that asymptomatic vaccinated players are going to be the reason that we don't get a semifinal or a national championship game. Are you kidding me? That's why we're going to do this. I think just like any other sickness in life, man, I woke up feeling a little under the weather today. So I need to get tested. Okay, boom, go get tested. You vaccinated? Yes, but still not feeling well. Fine, go get tested. I'm not vaccinated, still not feeling well. Boom, go get tested. If you want to test all the unvaccinated players on a regular basis, more power to you. All right, that was the incentive to get vaccinated, is it was going to give you a little bit more leash, a little bit more leeway with the testing policies. But why are you vaccinated? Why are these players being pressured into getting vaccinated to still be treated like the unvaccinated and still being treated and still being punished, basically, even though they are asymptomatic? This is just a mess. And it leads to uncomfortable conversations, because I know, as I'm saying my take on this, I know I'm pissing off a huge group of people. And then there's a group of people over here who are like, yeah, I agree. It's a lose-lose situation. But the bottom line is, if we get to a semifinal for the Bearcats, after all that they've been through this year, they did everything that was asked of them. Schedule tough in the non-conference. They did that. They beat Notre Dame, top 6 team in the country, at Notre Dame. They went undefeated. They won their conference championship game. They made the college football playoff and potentially could have a semifinal game ripped right from their hands if a potential outbreak happens, because there's no flexibility at all in moving a game back, or heaven forbid, moving the game up. Because this isn't about player safety. This isn't about, keeping these players safe during COVID. This is strictly about money. Hey, we have to play it on these dates because the college football playoff, they have to get their money from their sponsors. That's the only thing that matters. So if we play it on this day, it has to be played on this day. We get a little wiggle room, I think like a 10-day period on the other side to be able to find a replacement date in there, a postponement date. But, that's all. Like, stop it. Stop acting. This is what the NFL and Baker Mayfield was saying last week. These COVID policies are not put into place for the player safety, as they're trying to pretend that it's strictly about covering their asses from a liability standpoint, all while hopefully getting a game put in. But I think that the forfeiture approach is lazy. I think it's lazy. I'm going to talk about this coming up in a moment. There's a lot of talks between the Big Ten, the Big East, and some of these, athletics conferences about, their forfeiture policy. The forfeiture policy is lazy. Lazy. Well, if you can't play a game because of COVID, you're just going to forfeit it. That's messed up. You're going to punish a team's resume, an at-large resume, NCAA tournament possibilities. You're going to mess that up because of a global pandemic, because you're too lazy as a conference to come together and come up with a policy that's going to allow them to be able to postpone that, get that game in, and still give them as much of an opportunity as possible. I credit the NFL, even though I still think that they were not prepared for this, which is kind of silly, because if this last year and a half, 2 years has taught us anything, it's be prepared for the unexpected. So I do not think for any company out there, you are no longer allowed to do we didn't foresee this happening. Well, it doesn't matter. Since March of 2020, you are no longer allowed to use the excuse of, we just did not anticipate that. We did not see that coming. We did not foresee that happening. That you're not allowed to do that anymore. Be prepared for the unexpected at all times. And some people were like that before COVID, but I'm telling you right now, it is totally irresponsible, the NFL, college football, college basketball, athletics in general, to ever utter the phrase, we did not foresee this coming. Be prepared. My goodness. The fact that the NFL had to rewrite a whole new policy just a few days before the Browns were supposed to kick off this past Saturday to still push it back to Monday Night Football, just for them to still have the entire roster out to begin with. Holy moly. What a mess. What a mess. It is what it is. I'm Justin Kinner. It's the Justin Kinner Show here on 1410 ESPN Radio. 518-1410, 518-1410. We'll step away for a few moments. We'll take your calls. I'll also get your reaction on the social media side of things. We're live on Facebook. Search the Justin Kinner Show on Facebook. I want to hear from you, though. Give us a call at 518-1410. What do you think about these new COVID policies when it comes to the upcoming college football playoff, the semifinals, and the national championship? Again, It's crazy to me that we can crown a national champion via forfeiture due to the updated COVID policy on the college football playoff. 518-1410. We will be back in just a moment.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, right here on ESPN 1410 Wing AM.
Take home Fricker's Holiday Feast, frickin' yum, 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 yum. Our gift cards always please, frickin' yum, 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 yum.
Take home 4 pounds of frickin' chicken chunks for only $29.99, carry out only. Buy a $25 Frickers gift card and you'll get 5 frickin' bonus bucks free. The ho, ho, ho! For fun, food, sports, and spirits, Frickers.
Frickin' yum, yum.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
You know a spot, but not just a spot, the spot. Actually, with the all-new Nissan Frontier, you know a bunch of them. But the key to these great spots? Being able to reach them in the first place. Your spot is out there. Find your Frontier in the all-new 2022 Nissan Frontier with standard 310 horsepower, advanced tech, and 281 pound-foot of torque.
Hi, I'm Sales Manager Jason High at Germain Honda Beaver Creek, proud recipient of the prestigious President's Award. We are your local Honda dealer, and we invite you to see our newly renovated state-of-the-art facility. You'll be amazed at our selection, and remember, all new Hondas come with a lifetime powertrain warranty. Visit us at Route 35, just east of 675, conveniently located near Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. Germain Honda Beaver Creek, the right car, the right price, the right way. I'll see you soon.
Folks, the Colonel here with Homestead Feed and Supply. Homestead is proud to introduce Purina feed products, including Fitter, Honor Show Feeds, Depth Charge. Heck, they've even got the golden ticket. Come out to Homestead Feed and Supply, 1833 North Dayton Lakeview Road, New Carlisle. Tell them the Colonel sent you.
You've been putting back a few, and a few becomes a few too many. For a moment, you think of calling for a ride, but nah, you live nearby. What's the worst that could happen? You get pulled over, your insurance goes up, you lose your license, you total your car, you kill someone. The results of driving drunk are tragic. That's why law enforcement is out there looking for impaired drivers to save lives. So if you think you're okay to drive after a few drinks, think again. Drive sober or get pulled over. Paid for by NHTSA.
Winter is here, and Rob's Beer Barn is stocked with seasonal refreshments and holiday beers, and they're going fast, just in time for your favorite sporting events. Rob's Beer Barn also has you covered for your holiday plans. At Rob's, you'll find all the ice-cold refreshments you'll need: craft, imported, local, and seasonal beers, fine wine, snacks, and ice. Plus, Rob's Beer Barn has apparel. For last-minute items, you can call, walk in, or drive through. Stock up today. Rob's Beer Barn on Indian Ripple Road at Darst, just a mile east of the green. Rob's Beer Barn, just look for the beaver.
Need last-minute gifts? Menards has everything you need at incredible prices to give joy this holiday season. From kitchen utensil sets and toys to tools, home decor, winter apparel, and more. And don't forget the batteries. Get a 24-pack double or AAA Energizer battery pack for just $8.99 after sale price and rebate. Plus, a Menards gift card is the perfect gift for your hard-to-shop-for loved ones.
More season's greetings to you all from Menards.
5G is here, but the big carriers want you to sign a pricey long-term contract to get in on the action. Well, no more, because Straight Talk Wireless has rolled out 5G coverage nationwide, with plans starting at just $35 a month with no contract. And get a Samsung Galaxy A32 5G for only $299, all on America's best networks. 5G coverage, 5G phones, less money. Straight Talk Wireless, no contract, no compromise. 5G capable device required, actual availability, coverage, and speed may vary.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? Ready for an oil change? We can help get the right protection at the right price. Right now, you can get 5 quarts of Valvoline Daily Protection or Valvoline Max Life High Mileage Motor Oil with an STP oil filter for just $28.99. Visit one of our 6,000 stores or order from AutoZone.com for same-day store pickup or next-day delivery.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Come rain or shine, high winds or mild breezes, blue skies or gray, it's a great time to consider getting vaccinated against COVID-19. Sponsored by BioNTech and Pfizer.
The Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash. Presented by Brad Mays with Home Experts Realty. Weekdays at 3 p.m. on 1410 ESPN Radio.
The Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, live here on Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM. The show brought to you by Tim's Bar and Grill on Brown Street, Orion Sports Medicine, and Brad Mays with Home Experts Realty. In fact, if you're looking to buy or sell your home, give Brad Mays a call today, 937-572-7425, especially coming out of the holiday break and New Year's, of course. You're looking to sell your home or to purchase your first home or purchase a home, I promise you, Brad Mays with Home Experts Realty will help you get the job done. He just helped my fiance and I, go through the process of purchasing our first home, and we are beyond excited to be able to finalize that and get all our stuff moved in and enjoy our first home together. So I appreciate all the work Brad has done. He has made this as simple and smooth as possible. I promise you he will do the same for you as well. Brad Mays with Home Experts Realty. Give him a call today if you're looking to buy or sell your home, 937-572-7425. All right, we welcome you back again. Justin Kinner with you here on a Wednesday. We opened up the show with, of course, the news that broke just earlier this afternoon. With this outbreak or with this, this variant that has just taken this country by storm or this world by storm right now, you're starting to see it really creep back into the sports world at a high capacity. I mean, every time I check my phone, it's, a roster outbreak here, a roster outbreak there, games being postponed and canceled in the NBA, bowl games now officially being canceled, and teams, having to pull out of bowl games. It's back, and that's what's crazy about all of this. And it's strange to me. So when it's not strange to me, it's understandable. I get that it's back, but what I'm amazed at is how unprepared a lot of these sports seem to be. The fact that the NBA is having to decide, and weigh their options about, what should we do? What should we do? Having to come up with policies. It's like, why are you waiting till now to come up with that? College football, why? We're 4 days or 3 days before Christmas, and you're just now coming up with what you plan on doing in case of a COVID outbreak that potentially decimates a roster of one of the teams that's in your precious little playoff. Really? Like that, it fascinates me. I thought that athletics, college-wise and pro-wise, did a much better job of handling this on the fly when the COVID initially hit. But we're 2 years into this. Right, this will be the second playoff and the second national champion that will be crowned since COVID destroyed our country just back in early 2020. And you would never guess that it's been around that long based on how these leagues are acting. I mean, they're scrambling right now, and I'm like, what are you scrambling for? You didn't have a plan in place? We're a small little radio station here in Dayton, Ohio. We have plans, multiple laid out plans for how to return to the building, how to return working from home. Everything is mapped out. I will give our company a ton of credit for how organized we are for how to navigate through this. We have, things are easing up. Return to the building. We could work at the building. Here's some, safety protocols to follow. If it starts getting a little worse out there, we could return working from home, coming into the building. There's a plan. When we got our email of our safety protocols and the different levels of which we'll operate under, I'm amazed at how organized that plan was. If we start to have, bigger numbers, throughout the state of Ohio or throughout the city, we have an action for that. If the numbers are continuing to drop and, you're starting to see that it's not as contagious, and we have a plan for that. We have a plan for shows on the road, shows in the building, shows from home, shows on location, we have it all. We're a small little radio in the college football playoff, $1 billion industry. They're waiting till days before Christmas to get their head out of their ass to finally come up with this policy that's still not even a good one. Your best solution is, we may not have a national championship game because we'll just crown a champion by forfeiture. Can you imagine? Can you imagine if the Bearcats don't even get to play in their college football playoff game that they worked so hard to get to. And I know there's 3 other teams that everyone's very excited about as well. I'm not for that team up north for obvious reasons, but even for them, I don't care. Alabama's here every single year. It's a heartbreak for them, especially with the Heisman winning freshman quarterback. I mean, that's a great story in itself right there. This is ridiculous that they don't have a better plan than, well, if you're not able to play because of COVID, you forfeit. Really? That's all you got? That's the best you can come up with? I think that's messed up. I really do. I definitely don't think it's fair. Folks, high school athletics does this perfectly. How are we? I mean, we've crowned multiple state champions in basketball or in football since COVID started in March of 20. We have crowned multiple volleyball state champions since COVID hit in 2020. We're embarking on crowning more state basketball champions. We didn't get to crown all of those, so I should be careful with that, but that's because that was around the time that it initially hit. But the point is if these state by state basis, these high school, athletic associations are able to find a way to navigate through this effortlessly, not saying that there's not bumps along the way, but it's like, my goodness, how does high school athletics with tiny ass little budgets find a way to navigate through this and still get stuff done? I mean, my God, it's ridiculous. I'm not saying that there's not as many moving parts. Obviously, there's less moving parts at this level than as you go to college and the pros. But you know what? You get paid a lot of it. There's a lot of people making a lot of money in key positions that it's their job to come up with something better than, well, I'm really sorry that your team's being decimated by, one of the worst pandemics in the history of the world, right? Like, that's just literally killing our economy. People are dying. It's totally changed how we live our everyday lives. And to make it worse for you, we're not willing to come up with a policy to allow the game to be pushed back. You're just going to forfeit. Oh, gee, thanks. Enjoy your check, though, right? Like, that's what's ridiculous as far as I'm concerned. All right, 518-1410, going back to the Facebook side of things as well. Eric Myers says on Facebook that they use the excuse the pandemic is always evolving, so we need to evolve with it. That way we can make any policy change at any time, see the NFL. And I get that, but at the same time, if anything has taught us, if we have learned anything since this pandemic hit in early 2020, it is expect the unexpected. Have plans for plans for plans, backup plans, backup plans, backup plans. I mean, you have to have a plan in place for where we are at currently with this pandemic, but you also have to have a plan in place for if the numbers start dropping, if hospitalizations start dropping, if the amount of COVID cases start dropping. You also need to have a plan in place for if they start skyrocketing, max capacity in hospitals. This is from a sports perspective, but also outside of a sports perspective. You cannot tell me that these billion-dollar industries are just caught off guard because, oh man, this is becoming contagious, really contagious. What should we do? You're just now asking yourself that a week before Christmas? 10 days before the college football playoff, they're just now scrambling. I'm sorry for repeating myself a lot. I do that a lot. I'm angry. I'm annoyed with this. I am. I'm just tired of ignorance. I'm tired of, oh, well, we didn't see that happening. We weren't ready for that. How? How are you not ready for that? Like, I just don't get it. It doesn't make any sense. I'm not saying, it's easy for me to sit in this chair with this mic in front of my face and say, man, you should do a better job. Solutions, not problems. I get that. But again, billion-dollar industry. A lot of people make a lot of money in higher up positions. Somebody's getting paid a lot of money to come up with something that should not be. Yeah, you just forfeit. That's lazy. Lazy. Brian Schwederman on Facebook says, so you're telling me since he has a chance, hashtag COVID coach of the year. Look, as far as I'm concerned, yeah, they have a chance. And I guess I never really looked at it like that. But, okay, let's say that Alabama, and by the way, it could be the case. I'm trying to paint this picture of poor Cincinnati. What if it happens to them? They could benefit from that, and I hate wording it like that, but I don't even think the Bearcats would love a trip to the national championship by forfeiture. They'll gladly take the spot in the title game, but there's, what I mean? I think that the Bearcats they are drooling over the opportunity to play Alabama. I think they had a better chance against Georgia. But I think that they're drooling over the opportunity to be on the same field as Alabama, right? Because no matter what, the Bearcats, it was going to take a ton on the Bearcats side, whether it be upsetting Michigan, upsetting Georgia, or upsetting Alabama. They had their work cut out for them. You could say, they'd prefer to play this opponent over this opponent. In my opinion, they're going to get crushed no matter who they play. But I do believe that if you're going to get crushed and there's a chance that you can make history and go out and pull off the upset of all upsets, an upset over Michigan, sure, that's special. That's great. An upset over Georgia, yeah, that's super. Almost pulled that off last year. But you upset Alabama. That's something special right there, right? Like, so that's what I'm saying is I do believe that they could benefit from it to where if Alabama, who it's already starting with them, they're already having, Bill O'Brien and some coaches, an outbreak amongst the coaching staff. It wouldn't surprise me to see that leak over into the player side. So if that happens and Alabama can't fight in this game, Cincinnati wins by forfeiture, right? I know that'd be cool to see them in a title game, but I don't think you want them there due to that. You'll take it, but who knows? But I think that would be really upsetting too along the way. More. So the Texas A&M game. So Nick on Facebook says, so A&M has 20 positive tests. Last I checked, there's 100 on the roster, 85 scholarships. So why can't they play? I don't know if I need to pull this up to make sure I'm getting this absolutely correct, Nick. I think it was their opponent that is having the COVID outbreak, if I'm not mistaken. So I have to pull that up before I chime in any more on that as far as that's concerned. But just so strange to me, the approach to this. And by the way, I don't care about these meaningless bowl games. I really don't. I'm going to stay consistent. I don't look at that and say, oh, man, I can't believe we're not going to get that bowl game, because I don't think that that's the case here in this situation. Bowl game, we're seeing players skip out on bowl games, coaches taking other jobs. No one pays attention to these bowl games. And now everyone wants to feel sorry for why these bowl games aren't going to happen potentially. So I don't know. I'll get more information on that coming up here in a moment. But again, Texas A&M will not play in the Gator Bowl due to a COVID outbreak. So it is amongst them. I'm sorry. They go on to say, I checked 5 different sources and none mentioned how many cases they have. Not surprised that it's not disclosed out of Texas. So they haven't announced how widespread this outbreak is, but they're not going to be able to participate. So there's that. Rutgers has been in talks of potentially filling that spot, but they've turned that down already, according to reports. So we'll see what comes out of that. But I don't think that's a bowl game that matters. But this could impact Ohio State. If you start to see an outbreak amongst the Buckeyes roster, that we could end up not having a Rose Bowl. Speaking of that, as of now, we do have a Rose Bowl coming up January 1st, 5:00 the kickoff. 3:30 coverage begins right here on Dayton's home of the Buckeyes, 1410 ESPN Radio. But as we've discussed, there's a good chance that they may not have it. Whether it's a Utah outbreak or a Buckeye outbreak, who knows how that's all going to pan out. Doug Toby says, seems like a perfect situation to try out your younger players for next year. I mean, that's the case even in regular bowl games. Mark Smith, he says, man, don't scare me, Justin. I'm on PTO during the games. It's going to be wall-to-wall Bud Light for like a week. Look, I'm saying based on your call last week, Mark, I don't think you need PTO days to justify wall-to-wall drinking, as you perfectly showed last week when you called into the show. 518-1410. We'll take your calls coming up here in just a moment. But the last thing is we recap this and we move on to the next thing. Again, ESPN's Heather Dinich says a new college football playoff policy written this week in response to the surging variant allows for a team to advance to the national championship game and ultimately win it by its opponents having to forfeit. I don't think crowning a champion through forfeiture is the way to go. I just don't. I think there has to be a different way. But again, you have the Cotton Bowl, the Orange Bowl, Alabama, Cincinnati, 3:30 the kickoff on December 31st. Then you have Georgia and Michigan, 7:30 the kickoff in that night game in the Capital One Orange Bowl. So 518-1410. We'll switch gears here. And as far as Ohio State's concerned, we talked yesterday about Jack Miller officially announcing that he has transferred out of the Buckeye program, which he had already entered the transfer portal. That's old news. But the new news is that he will be a quarterback in the SEC. He's taken over as the starter for the Florida Gators moving forward. And it'll be interesting to follow his journey along the way. As we talked about, Quinn Ewers entered the transfer portal the week after the Michigan game, made the news, I believe, the night before the Big Ten championship game. Obviously, Ohio State wasn't in that game, but he announced he's going to go play at Texas. So, again, we're starting to see a lot of these guys kind of spread out. And as they enter the transfer portal, they're going to the typical bigger name programs, as we have seen. All right, 518-1410. We'll step away for a few moments, live on Facebook, live on YouTube. We'll take and get your opinions there. Plus, we'll take your calls. We'll switch back into some Browns-Bengals stuff coming up around the corner. I do have an update on the Cleveland Browns. Cleveland Browns, it sounds like they will have a full roster, whatever that means, for this upcoming Christmas Day matchup with the Green Bay Packers. We do know for a fact that Austin Hooper has been taken off the COVID reserve list, as well as head coach Kevin Stefanski. It sounds like Baker Mayfield will be ready to go. You already have Nick Chubb. Don't have an update on Kareem Hunt. We will see what ends up happening there. Obviously, it's going to be key to get Jarvis back and some of those key offensive linemen. And we'll get to all that coming up. Plus, Joe Burrow, my guy, he made an interesting comment today that I really think is being overblown. I had fun with it. Of course, you sensitive crybaby fans had a problem with me posting it. That's fine. You'll get over it. But he really wasn't making a big pitch for free agents to come to Cincinnati, by the way. So I got a huge kick out of this. He said nothing wrong. I saw people take off and run with it, but it was pretty funny. It's when you're trying to say the right thing and it ends up coming out as the wrong thing. I have a perfect example of that from Joe Burrow from earlier this afternoon. We'll get to that next.
The Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Brad Mays with Home Experts Realty. Weekdays at 3 p.m. on 1410 ESPN Radio.
Attention men under the age of 35. You know what really impresses the ladies? When a guy has a few drinks and later gets pulled over for buzz driving. That could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. There goes let's grab dinner and a movie. Oh, I know. You drive more carefully when you're buzzed. You've proven that hundreds of times. A woman admires that kind of confidence. And you practice how to speak if a cop does pull you over. Slowly, clearly, and politely, like, "Good evening, officer." A woman admires that kind of foresight. And what woman doesn't find it adorable that you call it buzzed even though the law calls it drunk? You can kiss $10,000 goodbye, along with any chance of having a girlfriend. Because nothing says, "I'm a catch," more than a guy who lives in his parents' basement and calls it my place.
Buzzed, busted, and broke. Because buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Well, Jason, I've got to tell you, you're pretty much everything this company is looking for in an entry-level candidate.
Great.
Your resume isn't quite what we're used to, but you've got a fantastic work ethic.
Thank you.
And I'm impressed by how you carry yourself.
So, should we talk about the job?
What? The job? Oh, sorry. Yeah, I have no way of recruiting or even meeting you. This interview didn't happen.
It may sound ridiculous, and that's because it kind of is. There's a huge pool of talent your company is missing out on. Meet the grads of life. Who are they? Talent worth knowing about. Young adults of unique determination and experience. An ideal fit for your company in an entry-level position, internship, or even mentorship. They might not have every qualification you typically look for, but they're exactly who your company needs.
Man, we really could have used him.
Don't miss out on a resource many innovative companies have already discovered. Go to gradsoflife.org to learn how to find, cultivate, and train this great pool of untapped talent. Brought to you by the Ad Council and gradsoflife.org.
Excuse me. I know you have a 9 o'clock, so I'll keep this short. I'm the business suit in the back of your closet. You wore me nearly every day before your office went, quote, casual. I used to be the CEO of your closet. Now I'm just that one intern no one ever talks to. I always thought you'd circle back with me, get granular, keep me in the pipeline. But nada, nothing. Don't you remember the McKittrick presentation? You spilled coffee on me and I still looked amazing during the breakout talkback Q&A. So I think it's time for me to move on. I've got a great resume and I absolutely crush it in interviews, okay? Let's make this a clean break. Shift the paradigm. The only thing I ask is that you think outside the box here and do this. Take me to Goodwill, where I can really make a difference.
Your donations to Goodwill create new jobs, training programs, and education assistance for people in your community. To find your nearest donation center, go to goodwill.org. Donate stuff. Create jobs. A message from Goodwill and the Ad Council.
If you need new roofing, siding, or gutters, skylights, or patio enclosures, if you're a homeowner or business and need someone you can trust, don't take a chance. Enhance with Lance. Lance Roofing and Siding in Fairborn has been satisfying customers since 1993 and hold an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau. Lance Roofing and Siding, 8460 Dayton Springfield Road in Fairborn. Call for a free estimate at 864-2722. That's 864-2722 or online at lanceroofing.com.
Gather near and bring the cheer this holiday season. Dazzle and delight the love of your life with a gift from Hellsberg Diamonds. Don't miss great prices prices on stunning diamond studs, tennis bracelets, gemstone rings, and the year's must-have look, gold jewelry for stacking and layering. There's still time to gift and save. Get half-carat total weight diamond studs for $399.99, a savings of $200. Visit Helzberg.com or a store near you. Limited time offer while supplies last. See online or in-store for details.
Susan, I'm sorry I'm late. Traffic is terrible.
It sure is. But on top of that, gas prices have been skyrocketing. I can't believe how expensive gas has gotten recently.
Prices at the pump are up, but I never pay full price for gas anymore. I just use the free Get Upside Gas app that pays you cash back for every gallon of gas you buy.
Wait a minute. Are you saying you actually get paid cash when you buy gas with the Get Upside app?
Yes, up to 25 cents a gallon cash back every time I buy gas.
Does that actually add up to anything?
Some months I make $200 to $300.
Wow, that's serious extra cash. I'm downloading the free Get Upside app now.
Download the free Get Upside app now in the App Store or Google Play to save up to 25 cents a gallon when you buy gas. Use promo code RACE for a 25 cents a gallon bonus on your first tank. That's up to 50 cents a gallon on your first fill up. You can cash out anytime to your bank account, PayPal, or any gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Get Upside app and use promo code RACE for up to 50 cents a gallon cash back on your first tank. That's code RACE.
You need an accurate thermometer to check for fever, a potential sign of flu or COVID. Be vigilant and contact your medical provider at the first sign of fever. Exergen Temporal Scanner Thermometer has been proven accurate in more than 100 clinical studies. Exergen Temporal Scanners are available at Walmart and other fine retailers. Learn more at exergen.com. That's EXERGEN.com. Exergen is changing the way the world takes temperature.
Justin Kinner back with you here on 1410 ESPN Radio. Coming up at the top of the 4 o'clock hour, we'll go down the list of some of the top teams in the National Football League and some of the bottom teams. We'll take a look at who's overachieving, who's underachieving. That's coming up here 13 minutes from now, top of the 4 o'clock hour. So interestingly enough, earlier today, by the way, this is what, I mean, I still think that there's too much press time for players, honestly. Like, I really don't know. I mean, I do think that media people are some of the most egotistical human beings in the face of the planet. Like, and I get it. You have to have that kind of personality to succeed in this business. I think I actually could. I know you're probably saying, oh, you probably hate my ego. I don't think I have a big enough ego to match some of the egos that exist, especially in the local markets. I think that some of there are a very select few media members who actually don't have major egos, and that's why they're some of the most respected and nice guys. There's a lot of guys even in town that I'm like, your ego's way too big for where we're at. Like we're not in a. I mean, I love this city. Don't get me wrong, but I am very self-aware of who I am in my surroundings, and I just laugh at some media members who take themselves a little too serious. I will give a shout out the guy that's the nicest guy in the world that has every right to think he's better than Hal McCoy is the nicest human being you will ever meet. And I mean, I'm not joking. I mean, that is a guy that has every right to be a snob, to look down on people, to not give interviews, to not. You need something, he will be right there for you. He is one of the nicest guys you will ever meet. And that fascinates me. It fascinates me because as you look around, out there, at some of the bigger markets, it's amazing to me the guys that should have that type of ego that don't. A name that you probably would kind of look at me kind of strange for, Marty Brennaman, is also the same way. I've heard so many stories of people, especially in college. I remember he came and spoke at a college class of ours. It was a social media marketing class. And he came and spoke to our class. And just how open he is with everyone. If you need something, he'll be right there. That's how Marty's always been. And I've seen it up close, not just with myself, but just anyone that comes up to him will have a conversation. He has every right to be a jerk, and he doesn't do it. And so it just fascinates me, some of the media guys, especially in these media scrums, when you go and you go to these press conferences and man, they just get so jacked for it, and they love to tell people, hey, so the other day I was talking with Joe Burrow. You weren't talking with Joe Burrow. You were sitting at a press conference, and you were lucky enough that when you raised your hand, they asked you, they picked you to ask a question. You didn't talk to Joe Burrow. Let's just be honest. But that's what these media guys do, right? Like they put their chest out and they, oh man, I'm cool. I talked to Joe Burrow the other day. You didn't talk to Joe Burrow. You asked him a question. You asked him a question. But it amazes me how many pointless questions that get thrown at these athletes. Like, I really don't think that athletes need to face the media as much as they do. I know it's part of the media rights deals and that the product needs to be accessible and all that. But how much content of anything meaningful do you actually get? Like, I love when people say, hey, well, I heard the reporter, he asked the coach about his thoughts on this, and the coach said this. Well, yes, there's a scripted answer for everything. Players are trained on how to answer media. You are getting nothing. Players are trained on how to get, on how to answer and deal with media. Coaches, same thing. You ever hear that term coach speak? He's just giving coach speak. Of course. That's why I laugh when, when you get a lot of these Buckeye bloggers and these Buckeye writers who, man, are you guys seriously still talking about the possibility of Ryan Day leaving to take the Bears job? Like, seriously, Ryan Day's already put that to rest. I'm like, really? Take your fanboy cap off, blogger boy. I'm pretty sure that every coach tells the media that they are exactly happy with where they are. Like, if your wife comes up and says, are you happy in this marriage? Of course you're going to say yes. Why would you say anything otherwise? And then 2 weeks later, boom, you're divorced. How many times? Brian Kelly was just talking about how it would take an act of God to get him to take another job outside. A month later, he was out of Notre Dame. All the interviews that started floating around about Lincoln Riley, they started releasing some interviews, of course, that he did like 2 days before announcing that he was taking the USC job. He said, Oklahoma, there's not a better job in the country. He has no interest in going to the NFL or leaving for any other job. And now he's at USC. So I just laugh at the ego of media guys that actually think that they know, just because what a player or a coach tells them that, oh, well, that's Bible, that's gospel. He told me, he winked at me. Trust me, I could just tell. The way he said it, he had this look in his eye. Trust me, he's going nowhere. He can go at any moment. So like these media scrums are pointless, and I think that they do more harm than good because these athletes and coaches are trained on how to respond to your questions. You're not getting any meat off the bone from these questions. And more times than not, these athletes have more to lose than to gain from answering them. Hey, Joe Burrow, how do you feel about the game coming up? Well, we got a really good team. It's really important. We're all hands on deck. We're ready. We're fighting for the playoffs. And man, and then you Bengals nerds, and I do it with the Browns. I see these press clippings from Baker or whoever, and you see it from Burrow. Man, Burrow, he's so cool. Look at him. He's so good. Joe Burrow just said that they're fighting hard for the playoffs. Folks, that's not a headline. When Baker Mayfield says, hey, we got to learn, we got to be better, we got to do better, and then the shows open up. Baker Mayfield says that the team has to do better. No kidding. A team at Super Bowl expectations, that's 500 as we head into the final 3 weeks. Baker Mayfield saying that the team needs to do better. Really? That's the best you could do, radio guy? That's the best you could do, Mr. Reporter, Mr. TV analyst? Oh, I was talking to Baker Mayfield the other day, and you'll never guess what he said to me. He's like, Kenner, we got to do better. And I was like, word? I was like, what? You said what? You need to do better? Really? Like, you see how pointless these media scrums are? You don't get anything out of these guys. They don't say anything. You want to know what a good interview would be? Hey, Baker, Justin Kenner with the 1410 ESPN Radio out of Dayton. You've never heard of me. It's okay. Nobody has. So you guys haven't been really playing well this year. What's going on? Many people don't look at you as an elite quarterback. And he says, oh, no, I'm the worst quarterback in the world. I suck. I have no business being a quarterback in the NFL. Now, that's a headline, right? If we start getting things out of players that actually are worth the damn, I'll start caring about player interviews and coach interviews. They don't tell you a thing. They don't tell you a thing. After a big loss, how do you feel? That's always my favorite one. How do you feel? Hey, man, that's a tough loss this past weekend. How do you feel? Oh, I feel great. Never been better. Smiling ear to ear. It's what we live for, man. Losing close games. How do you think they feel? Like, it's so dumb. It's a waste of time. It's a waste of time. These athletes have been trained. Almost like you're sitting down ready to go to court and you're going to be, just grilled by a defense attorney or by an attorney, right? Like, that's what this is. That's what they're trained for. So it drives me nuts when people just let, like Ryan Day. Oh, Ryan Day, he told Austin Ward of Letterman Row that he's going nowhere. Oh, wow, you believe? I bet you when the stripper winks at you, you think she likes you, huh? Like that's how gullible you guys are. Like you can't be that silly to actually believe everything. I don't know. Like when I see a headline, Luke Fickell feels they have a shot to beat Alabama. Well, maybe he does. Maybe he truly does. I mean, but that's not a headline. Well, duh. What else is Luke Fickell going to say? Let me call him. In fact, I'm going to call Luke Fickell. Hey, Coach Luke Fickell, Justin Kinner, 1410, Wing AM and Dayton. You've probably never heard of me. No one has. Do you think you have a shot to beat Alabama? I definitely think we have a shot to beat Alabama. What? Luke Fickell says he has a shot to beat Alabama. Are you really? That's not a headline. You want to know what a headline is? Hey, Luke Fickell, Justin Kinner, 1410, Wing AM out of Dayton. Probably never heard of me. No one has. Do you think you could beat Alabama? And he comes back with, no, I don't think we have a shot. I just think that they have too many 4 and 5 stars, and we just come from a small American conference. So I don't think we have a shot. Now, that's a headline. That's a headline. But I just laugh at these media nerds who I talked to Luke Fickell the other day. Oh, did you? On that media Zoom press conference of yours? Yeah, you talked to him, huh? Catch up, talk about the kids. What did he tell you? Tell you anything juicy? Oh, yeah, you'll never guess what he told me. He said, I think we could beat Bama. Oh, did he? Man, he really confides in you. Like I don't know. I'm venting here. I just saw a lot of dumb headlines today, and it's my final show for the rest of the, don't worry. I actually, just signed a contract extension, Foco. When I say that I'm done for the rest of the year, I'm just done for the rest of the year. I'll actually be back. Sorry to break that news to you. Merry Christmas. But I just saw a lot of really silly headlines today. I feel I'm in a loosey-goosey mood today. I just wanted to vent. That's all. But just these media guys, man, they crack me up. They crack me. I talked to Fickell the other day, man. I asked him about if he thought about taking another job, and he said no. His loyalty is to Cincinnati. Okay, if you believe that, that's fine. Everyone's like, what are you talking about? He stayed with Cincinnati last year. Yes, he also took a private jet to go interview for the Michigan State job. I don't know about y'all, but that doesn't sound loyal to me. That just sounds like you're kicking the tires on your next big gig. That's not loyal. Which, by the way, I don't expect him to stay at Cincinnati, but don't feed me this loyalty crap. Try that with your wife one time. And for you lady listeners, try that with your husband one time. If Nora comes up to me and says, hey, you're gonna stay with me forever, right? Yeah, I am, but I met this chick at the bar the other night. I'm actually going to head to her house a little bit. Just gonna watch a movie on Netflix and chill. We're just going to see where things go. And see what kind of deal I can work out. If it doesn't work out, I'll be back. Definitely. I want to see this thing through. No, that's not loyal. I'll be divorced before I'm married. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash right here on 1410 ESPN Radio. Coming up, top of the hour, overrated, underrated. We'll get to overachieving, underachieving, and all teams in the NFL. That's next. How about you?
You wanted to see me?
Yes, please, have a seat. So here's the thing. When this company brought you on, we took a chance on you. You didn't have that 4-year college degree we typically look for.
Right.
But we gave you a shot anyway. And since then, you've worked incredibly hard and given it your all.
Thanks.
You've been an important asset to the team, but I don't think you can be an intern here anymore. We want to hire you.
You're serious?
Absolutely.
Find your next great employee. Introduce yourself to the grads of life. Who are they? Talent worth knowing about. Young adults of unique determination and experience. An ideal fit for your company in an entry-level position, internship, or even mentorship. They might not have every qualification you typically look for, but they're exactly who your company needs.
I won't let you down.
I know.
Don't miss out on a resource many innovative companies have already discovered. Go to gradsoflife.org to learn how to find, cultivate, and train this great pool of untapped talent. Brought to you by the Ad Council and gradsoflife.org.
Attention men under the age of 35. You know what really impresses the ladies? When a guy has a few drinks and later gets pulled over for buzz driving. That could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. There goes let's grab dinner and a movie. Oh, I know. You drive more carefully when you're buzzed. You've proven that hundreds of times. A woman admires that kind of confidence. And you've practiced how to speak if a cop does pull you over. Slowly, clearly, and politely like, "Good evening, officer." A woman admires that kind of foresight. And what woman doesn't find it adorable that you call it buzzed, even though the law calls it drunk? You can kiss $10,000 goodbye, along with any chance of having a girlfriend. Because nothing says I'm a catch more than a guy who lives in his parents' basement and calls it my place.
Buzzed, busted, and broke. Because buzzed driving is drunk driving. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Excuse me. I know you have a 9 o'clock, so I'll keep this short. I'm the business suit in the back of your closet. You wore me nearly every day before your office went, quote, casual. I used to be the CEO of your closet. Now I'm just that one intern no one ever talks to. I always thought you'd circle back with me, get granular, keep me in the pipeline. But nada, nothing. Don't you remember the McKittrick presentation? You spilled coffee on me and I still looked amazing during the breakout talkback Q&A. So I think it's time for me to move on. I've got a great resume and I absolutely crush it in interviews, okay? Let's make this a clean break. Shift the paradigm. The only thing I ask is that you think outside the box here and do this. Take me to Goodwill, where I can really make a difference.
Your donations to Goodwill create new jobs, training programs, and education assistance for people in your community. To find your nearest donation center, go to goodwill.org. Donate stuff, create jobs. A message from Goodwill and the Ad Council.
Give the gift of a Dayton tradition. Milano's Pizza Subs and Taps. Milano's gift cards are the perfect way to give good times and those favorite subs and pizza to family and friends. Right now, for each $25 Milano's gift card you buy, you'll get $5 more free.
You're listening to Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM. We're live. We're local. What are you gonna miss? He struck him out. We're Dayton's ESPN radio station. Now, let's send it to the WING studios for Dayton's only local sports talk show. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Orion Sports Medicine.
That's right, Orion Sports Medicine, Tim's Bar and Grill, and Brad Mays with Home Experts Realty. Shout out to all the sponsors that help bring us the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash weekdays from 3 to 6 p.m. If you're looking to buy or sell your home, contact Brad Mays at Home Experts Realty, 937-572-7425. Whether you're buying or selling, making those plans, coming out of the holiday break after the new year, or maybe thinking about selling that home come spring, or looking to buy a home come spring, which, by the way, everyone kept saying, Josh, you don't need to buy a house right now. Just be patient. Just be patient. Just wait a little longer for buying a house. Me and Nora aren't patient. We bought that house now. I remember the very first house that her and I looked at. The very first, we walked in, we looked around, like, yeah, we want this one. We put an offer in right away. Of course, we realized that it's not that easy. We put in a lot of offers. I mean, I hadn't been rejected that much since high school and college, to be quite honest with you. I mean, it was, it was a complete disaster. But we finally found the home that we'd been looking for, and we're so beyond excited. But again, Brad, awesome, does an awesome job. Brad Mays, Home Experts Realty. Give him a call, whether you're buying or selling. All right. So I by the way, I'm scatterbrained today, like worse than usual. This is why there's a lot of reasons I need Kev here. For one, the show's better with Kev. I have no problem admitting that. I tell my bosses that. I could be selfish and just say I want it to be the Justin Kinner Show, and I could just make it all about me. And I don't want Kev. No, I hate when Kev's not here. The show just feels different when Kev's not here. Plus, he has a responsibility to keep me, kind of on the road a little bit. Like Kevin is he is the show's version of a rumble strip. Like when I start to get too far right or too far left, that little rumble noise, that's, Kev brings that to the table as well as with a lot of other great traits. But yeah, there's no rumble strips on today's show. So I'm just warning you. I went full out ADD last segment. I went from talking about media members from Joe Burrow to media members, Hal McCoy to headlines to I don't even know what the whole purpose of that last segment was, but it made sense to me. So there you go. I hope that's the case for you. But nonetheless, we welcome you back in hour number 2. We're off and rolling. And, yesterday we had a good question. I feel bad if I don't remember the listener's name that asked this question yesterday. We were talking about, the biggest surprises in the NFL. And I said out of the AFC North, I felt that the Steelers, because everyone's used to me taking a shot at the Bengals. This wasn't a shot at the Bengals. I said that I believe out of the AFC, the team that is the biggest surprise is the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think that they are a bigger surprise than the Cincinnati Bengals. I've admitted, although only thing you guys hear is hate, I have admitted on multiple occasions that this Bengals team is way better than I had anticipated. But I've also added on to that by saying I think that they're better than what you Bengals fans anticipated. I think a lot of you guys came, there's some of you weird homers that just thought this team was going to win the Super Bowl from the very beginning. But this team actually has a decent shot. I need to see a lot over the next 3 weeks, but that's the same for pretty much every team in the AFC right now. But there's nothing on this Bengals team that I'm actually coaching might be the one thing I would circle and say, if there's anything that's going to hold this team back, it will be coaching. Quarterback, check. Run game, check. You play, pass catchers, playmakers, check. Defense, check. Pass rush with Hendrickson, check. Kicker, check. I still get a lot of, Kinner, you were bashing them for taking the kicker in the draft. Never the case. I bash for where you take the kicker in the draft. You're still not going to, and I think that the Bengals, and I'm not bashing them here. I promise, they kicked ass for that draft, okay? And the thing is, Joseph is Osai. I don't know why I always forget how to pronounce that dude's name. As good as the pieces from the draft have been, like between Jamar Chase and McPherson, Joseph Osai would have been probably as dominant, if not more. He's the piece that I was disappointed to see out of Texas. He was the piece I was disappointed to see go down on the very first snap of preseason game 1 on the sack on Tom Brady, right? So they nailed it in the draft, but I still think as good as that draft was, I think they made some poor decisions on when they selected guys. I still thought you could have taken a better talent when they took Jackson Carman. That was a 5th graded offensive lineman that you took way too high. I think you could have picked someone a lot better with that pick and then still had Jackson Carman the next round or the round after that. McPherson, the same thing. Kickers aren't going that high in the draft. There was no reason to do that. Here's the thing. They drafted like a fantasy football draft. I get ripped all the time because I do fantasy football, but I see a player, I'm like, ooh, I want to make sure I get him before somebody else does, even though really a quarterback you don't have to take right away. I screwed up my draft this year because I got too excited about some of the QBs that I saw early on. So I took an Aaron Rodgers. I got Aaron Rodgers and Patrick Mahomes. And that was my first 2 picks. And I was like, what the hell did I do that for? Because I started noticing Josh Allen and all these great quarterbacks, all these big name quarterbacks were available 5-6 rounds into this thing. And I'm like, oh, that's how they do it. Everyone waits to draft their quarterback till later. Get your skill position guys first, right? Your wide receivers, running backs. Okay, it's okay to be excited. And oh my gosh, I can't believe he's on the board and I'm going to grab him now. I could have waited and still probably got my quarterbacks, even maybe not those quarterbacks. I could have got as good of quarterback. I'm not comparing my draft to the Bengals. I'm just saying it was kind of, I envision the front office thinking that way when it came to this last year's draft. I think 2 things can be true. The Bengals kicked ass with their draft, but I think also, and I say this phrase all the time, I know it annoys people, they left meat on the bone. You could have got Jackson Carman later, which, by the way, not panning out, but it's easier to justify him not panning out if you take him later in the draft. Because if you take Jackson Carman in the 5th round and he doesn't pan out, that's okay. It's a 5th rounder, right? That's what I mean by that. It's that's kind of where I'm at with that. That's why I also said I was going to be very critical, and I am, of Jamar Chase, because if you take Jamar Chase number 5 overall, he better be Justin Jefferson all 16, now 17 games of the regular season. I'm slightly critical of Jamar Chase. I think that he's going to be a part of the Bengals playoff success moving forward, big picture, no doubt about it. But you also don't take him that high at that spot, in my opinion, unless you were ready for it. And what I mean by that is I still and by the way, I ended up being right on this because I kept saying You need to learn how to, walk before you can run. Going to get your top wide receiver before you have your offensive line in place is not smart. And everyone said, oh, it doesn't matter. He's going to help with coverage sacks. And he started using all these weird words that you heard a buzzword one time on some fantasy football or on some podcast, and then you took it and ran with it. And y'all don't even know what you're talking about half the time. But now all the excuse making is, well, they have really good offensive weapons, but that offensive line is so bad that he's really not able to utilize it. He's not able to get more time in the pocket. Well, maybe they should have made the O-line a little bit more of a priority then, right? It is what it is. I think the kicker, you could have got him later. Jackson Carman, you could have got him later. You could have got better guys up front. But even with that, they nailed the draft. I feel like the Bengals are in good shape. So this caller yesterday or on Facebook, I can't remember his name, he had said that he had a problem when I said that I thought that the Steelers were a bigger surprise this season than the Bengals. But you Bengals fans so used to, and look, I've just beat you guys up for years that you're just not used to me saying anything kind about your team, that me saying that the Steelers were a bigger surprise than the Bengals, that was actually a compliment to your team. But you guys got offended by it. You got mad that I said that the Steelers were a bigger surprise out of the AFC North than the Bengals. And the reason is because look at that Bengals roster. I don't really think that it's a surprise that they are sitting atop the AFC North right now. I still do believe if the Browns and Ravens are healthy, that the Bengals are still battling it out for the top spot, but I don't think they're sitting at the top. But that's not a dig. If you get offended by that says more about you than me. However, it's not surprising at all to me that when you have Joe Burrow, T. Higgins, Jamar Chase, Tyler Boyd, Joe Mixon, and then all the the pass rushers, Hendrickson, and then that secondary. And then the kicker McPherson. Let's be honest. I know that he missed a couple key field goals against the Packers that he could have won them that game, but he's won them a lot more games than he's lost them, and that's all you can ask for. Plus, he's a rookie, and if you can't have Justin Tucker. Man, I'm more jealous about the Bengals kicker than I am the quarterback, to be quite honest with you. I think you can get Joe Burrows. They're easier to find than a good kicker right now, and kickers cost you more games than anything. If the Browns could win, the Browns lose more games because of their kicking game than they do because of Baker Mayfield. You win more games because of your kicker than your quarterback in today's NFL. Because if you've noticed, it went from pass heavy to run pass balanced offenses. Now, how many games have we seen where Burrow's throwing for under 30 passes a game, Baker's throwing for under 30 passes a game, and you're getting, heavy, carries for your run game, and you're getting that balance of the run and the pass and then relying on your defense. 2-3 years ago, it was all about the Patrick Mahomeses of the world, the Aaron Rodgers of the world. And although it still is, you're even seeing them drop back less than in years past because of the emphasis on the balance of the offense with the pass and the rush. I thought they did a great piece this past weekend on how the game is evolving a little bit offensively, or it's kind of reverting back to the emphasis on the run game. Despite the devaluing of running backs in the draft, there's the value of a running back on your team is so dang high that you're starting to see teams even invest more money. Look at the Browns. They invested a lot of money into Nick Chubb. They also invested a good chunk of change into Kareem Hunt. A couple years ago, it was, well, just make sure you have your Nick Chubb and then you'll have a couple no-name running backs to balance it. No, now teams are emphasizing dual running backs, right? You look at the Dallas Cowboys, all right? You look at the Cleveland Browns. You look at a lot of these teams. You look at the Titans. You look at a lot of these teams who have an emphasis on more than one running back, and it helps you in the pass game and the run game. So just thought that was interesting. They talked about the involvement of the run game because there's so much money being put into the secondary now. You're paying, all your money is going to your defensive backs, into your safeties, and then you're putting all your money into your pass rushers. Where teams are not investing in is linebacker. So a lot of teams' weaknesses around the NFL are at linebacker. And then now you're seeing the running backs take over because you have these small, scrawny, non-talented linebackers. There's not many of them because everyone's investing in the defensive backs and the pass rushers. And now you're seeing teams with these bigger running backs who are just having their way across the board. So thought it was an interesting piece, and I started looking at roster breakdowns. I think that the one thing that the Bengals could do this offseason is, yes, Joe Mixon, keep him, but get another running back to pair with him. And I don't just, you're saying, oh, they have a couple running back. No, a good one. I would heavily invest in a good top quality running back in this upcoming offseason. And I say that without having a list of potential options at that position. But I'm just saying, so the Steelers, they have, Najee Harris. They need to go get an experience back. I thought that they should have found a way to keep their running back from last year. And I don't know why his name, help me out in the chat. What was the Steelers running back last year? He's now with the Cardinals, doing really well for the Cardinals too. Gosh, it's driving me nuts. He was a 1,000-yard rusher for them. He just wasn't a sexy running back. But I thought if you had Najee Harris with him, the Steelers would be set with the run game moving forward. The Browns have Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb. They're set moving forward. James Conner. Thank you, John. Thanks, Nick. I think that if the Bengals can get someone to pair with Joe Mixon back there, I think that they'll be set. I think that that's going to really complement what they do. But 518-1410, again, rambling again. Bear with me. But I had to make sure that if I'm going to beat up on your team, I got to compliment them. They're sitting atop the division, and they're, they can't help that the Browns roster is injured. They can't help that the Ravens are beat up. They're still taking care of business the way they're supposed to. If years past, I would have said, well, the Bengals would lose to even bad Steelers teams. They would lose to even bad Browns and Ravens teams. You still lose to the Browns, though. I do got to make sure I point that out. But you know what I mean? You're beating up on the Ravens. I think the one thing that's been cool about the involvement of the Browns and the Bengals over the years is that intimidation factor of the Ravens and the Steelers. It's slowly going away. Years ago, I used to see the Steelers and Ravens coming up on the schedule, and I would just circle those as losses right away. And you can't do that anymore. I'm starting to look at the Browns and Bengals. I'm like, the Bengals now have that they're 3 straight over the Steelers. You got that confidence now. When the Steelers are on the schedule, you're not chalking that up as a loss. That's not the case 2 years ago. Even for the Ravens. Better than the Steelers, but I'm not chalking up the Ravens as an automatic loss anymore the way that we used to. I mean, the intimidation factor of the Steelers and the Ravens is starting to wear off. As much as I like to bang on the Bengals all the time, at the end of the day, I've said what my dream scenario is to have the Browns and the Bengals be the 2 front runners in the division every year. But the Ravens aren't going anywhere. I think Steelers, if they get the quarterback right, can get right back into the mix. But I think that the AFC North, it used to be embarrassing at the bottom because of the Bengals and the Browns, but I think you're going to have 4 highly competitive teams every year. I don't think this year is a fluke. I think that you're going to see, I think the AFC North is set up for the next 4 to 5 years to be the most competitive division in football, bar none. Doesn't mean they're the best division in football, but it used to be the Steelers had 2 automatic wins every year with Cleveland. You had 1 automatic win every year with Cincinnati. The Steelers, you have 3 guaranteed wins every year. You got the Bengals twice, you got the Browns twice. I mean, you just had wins waiting for you, and now I don't think that's the case anymore. I actually think that the division is the weakness of the Browns, Bengals, Steelers, Ravens, because you don't have any gimme games. The Patriots have a lot. I mean, they have the Jets twice a year. The Dolphins, despite them slowly figuring it out, they have the Dolphins twice a year. You know what I mean? You go through these divisions, there's a lot of gimme games for these teams. The Patriots have the Jets and the Dolphins every year. If you're a team like the Colts or the Titans, you have 2 games with Houston, 2 games with Jacksonville every year. All right. You know what I mean? And if you're the Green Bay Packers, the Minnesota Vikings are about to enter a rebuild. The Bears are an absolute mess right now. And then you got the Lions. Of course, Aaron Rodgers and the Packers always seem to be one of the top teams in the NFL every year record-wise. Because why? Well, it's easy to look dominant when you have 2 games every year with the Vikings, 2 games every year with the Bears and the Lions. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers. It was easy for Tom Brady to transition into that despite having the Saints in that division, and the Saints are still beating up on the Buccaneers, which is pretty ironic, even post-Drew Brees. But you have bad Falcons team, bad Panthers team. The NFC West and the AFC North are very similar. I don't think the NFC, you look at the NFC West, I think the NFC West is actually the best division in football when you have the Cardinals, the Rams, and the Niners. If the 3rd best team in your division is the Niners, I'd say you're doing pretty good. The Seahawks are a mess right now, and they might be embarking on a rebuild. But holy moly, I actually think that the worst thing about the Browns, Bengals, Steelers, and Ravens is the fact that those 4 teams make up that division. There's no give-me games. And you could say that there's no gimme games in all of the NFL, but you look at the AFC North, there's no gimme games. For the Steelers, it used to be the Browns and the Bengals every year. Those 4 games, you're at least going to come away with 3 every year. Same thing for the Ravens. The Ravens and Steelers have always had 3 wins waiting for them. That's no longer the case. The Browns and the Bengals always had 3 losses waiting for them. That's no longer the case. So that's what makes this division so dang interesting. All right, we'll step away for a few moments. By the way, 518-1410. I said we're going to go down the list of all the NFL teams and talk about which teams have overachieved and which teams have underachieved. We'll get to that when we come back, plus more of your Facebook reaction and YouTube reaction. 518-1410. We'll be back in a moment.
Listen, stream, watch. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash right here on Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM. ESPN 1410 Wing AM weather.
This afternoon will be mostly cloudy, a high near 35. Tonight will be partly cloudy and cold, a low near 22. And tomorrow will be partly cloudy, a high near 45. I'm Pete Spivak for 1410 ESPN Radio.
Come rain or shine, high winds or mild breezes, blue skies or gray. It's a great time to consider getting vaccinated against COVID-19. Sponsored by BioNTech and Pfizer.
Weather brought to you by Cullet Propane, keeping utilities simple and families warm since 1952. See how and more at culletpropane.com.
Folks, when you feed your dog, does he just stand there and look at you? Make your dog great again with premium foods from Homestead Feed and Supply. If it eats, we can feed it. 1833 North Dayton Lakeview Road, New Carlisle. Tell them the Colonel sent you.
Have you wanted to speak a new language but thought it'd be too difficult or take too much time? Then try Babbel. In just 15 minutes a day, Babbel teaches you conversations that you will actually use. With 14 languages and lesson topics like travel, business, relationships, and more, you'll learn what matters most to you. Babbel. Language for life. Learn a new language with ease. Go to Babbel.com to try for free. That's BABBEL.com.
Dell Technologies' end-of-year sale is the perfect time to upgrade tech. Save big on the latest computers featuring Windows 11 Pro that easily automate workflows. Don't forget to shop servers, storage, and top-brand electronics with savings up to 45% and all with free shipping. Call a Dell Technologies advisor to help you transform your digital workspaces with comprehensive end-to-end solutions. Find the right tech for your business needs at 877-ASK-DELL. That's 877-ASK-DELL.
Prescription products require an online consultation with a healthcare provider and are only available if the provider determines a prescription is appropriate. Subscription required. See website for full details and important safety information.
Hey guys, good news. The expensive little blue pill is now generic, which means the prescription medication to treat ED is super affordable at 4hims.com. And now get your first online doctor's visit free at 4hims.com. That's right. Zero copay, no awkward face-to-face conversations to get your prescription. That's really good news. To start your free online visit, go to this exclusive address, 4hims.com/joy. That's FORHIMS.com/joy.
You may be into punk rock, soft rock, or classic rock, R&B, hip-hop, or house, country, techno, or techno-country. But no matter what kind of music you listen to, here's something else you should hear. Please consider getting vaccinated. Talk to your pharmacist today about Comirnaty, COVID-19 vaccine mRNA. This message brought to you by BioNTech and Pfizer.
The Montgomery County Clerk of Courts Help Center brings the courthouse to the community with its weekly outreach programs to local churches, libraries, and community centers. We help you navigate the legal system. Find a location near you at courthouse2u.com. Brought to you by Montgomery County Clerk of Courts Mike Foley.
Attention Class A CDL drivers. Looking to be more than just a number? Yoel Transportation in Dayton is looking for drivers with at least 1.5 years experience. Yoel has open positions for no-tarp flatbed drivers and no-touch regional or local van drivers. Yoel is ELD compliant and offers 401k with match, medical, dental, vision, holiday pay, vacation, safety bonuses, and now has a rider policy. Call Rick or Joe at 937-294-5933 and ask about the $5,000 sign-on bonus today.
Skyline gift cards make great last-minute gifts. Now through Christmas Eve, you'll get a free $5 gift certificate when you buy $30 in Skyline gift cards at participating Skyline restaurants. See store for details. Feeling good. It's Skyline time.
Hi, this is Eddie Sorrell, body shop manager at Germain Honda of Beaver Creek. Our technicians have over 125 years of total experience. That means we can repair your vehicle correctly and efficiently. So when you need a dependable body shop, we're here. And we repair all makes and models with new state-of-the-art equipment to get you back on the road quickly. Plus, we offer loaner cars during service and free estimates. Stop by and see us. Germain Honda of Beaver Creek, State Route 35, just east of 675 between Xenia and Beaver Creek.
This is CBS News business analyst Jill Schlesinger. Do you want to be a hero for the holidays? How about getting your loved one a new iPhone? That's right. Pure Talk has iPhone 12 starting at just $479 through the end of the year. And sure, they have 13s too. Switch to Pure Talk. Great nationwide 5G coverage. Yes, the same coverage as the big guys, but the average family saves over $800 a year. Now that's just smart. There's no need to overpay for Verizon, AT&T, or T-Mobile. Plus, with Pure Talk's 30-day risk-free guarantee, you've got nothing to lose. Unlimited talk, text, and 6 gigs of data is just $30 a month. And like I said, the iPhone 12, just $479. From your cell phone, dial pound 250 and say Jill50, and you'll save an additional 50% off your first month. Plus, save on a new phone. That's pound 250, say Jill50. Pure Talk is simply smarter wireless. Some restrictions apply. See site for details.
Come rain or shine, high winds or mild breezes, blue skies or gray. It's a great time to consider getting vaccinated against COVID-19. Sponsored by BioNTech and Pfizer.
And we are back. Justin Kinner with you here on a Wednesday. The Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash on Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM. So, Mark Smith on Facebook says the Browns might step away from Baker after the season. If they do, who do you think they will go for? Carr, maybe. For what I will be very critical of if the Browns move on from Baker Mayfield. And see, you guys are going to hear what you want to hear, and that's totally fine. I've learned that you guys are you can't change your mind. You're not going to change mine. But the Browns would be fools to move on from Baker Mayfield. It doesn't mean that you should never strive to go get a better quarterback. But as I've said before, it's always easy. And I always say this, solutions, not problems. Don't bring me well, Baker's not that good. Okay, well, what's your solution? Well, moving on from him. Okay, well, what's your solution? Who's available? And I don't mean who's available in free agency, but who's a realistic target. Well, the Browns should go after, they should go after, go get an Aaron Rodgers if he wants to be traded. Well, that sounds super dandy, right? Oh, is that simple? If it's that simple, then the Browns would have addressed quarterback issues decades before. It took 2 decades to find a quarterback that you can win games with. It took 2 decades to find a quarterback that has put them in position to where you actually wake up every Sunday morning and expect the Browns to win on that Sunday. And when they lose, you're pissed off. You used to laugh after a Browns loss. Now you're angry after a Browns loss because you expect them to win. You never expected them to win before. Baker's not elite. And he's definitely not one of the worst 5 quarterbacks in the NFL. I don't even think he's in the bottom 10. But we got to, Browns fans got to stop overreacting to this, and the Browns haters need to stop. Your obsession. People say I'm obsessed with hating on the Bengals. You're obsessed with hating on Baker Mayfield and the Browns because, I just can't get over how many people are adamant that the Browns need to move on. Okay, move on, and then what? Draft a rookie quarterback? How are you going to go draft a rookie quarterback when you're going to be picking in that 15, 16 round mark? What? Just because a quarterback's available doesn't mean it's the quarterback. You've had number 1 overall draft picks at quarterback before that you whiffed on over and over and over. Trust me, there's no reason to even entertain the idea of moving on from Baker Mayfield. I've said on multiple occasions that Baker Mayfield not being elite is actually kind of a blessing in disguise for one, because you can win with Baker Mayfield. He's already proven that. He's not healthy this year. I can't believe how many weirdos out there act like, oh, well, he has a torn labrum and a broken bone in his non-throwing shoulder. Well, it's his non-throwing shoulder. Who cares? Like, are you guys that stupid that you don't understand how that totally impacts your entire range of motion? Like, are you that dumb that you don't understand how that's the case? You make excuses about, oh man, my quarterback's so tough. He toughed out a pinky. His pinky was hurt and he toughed it out. He put a little tape on that baby and out he went. He's such a warrior. But yeah, a guy that plays with a broken bone in his shoulder and a torn labrum, yeah, that guy's a wuss, right? Like, you guys are dumb. I don't care if I'm calling you names. Like, that's dumb. There is entertaining and opposing an opinion, and then there is me having to hear dumb opinions and me just try to, be nice about. I'm not going to be nice about that kind of opinion. That's dumb. What's his non-throw? Okay. Well, then you know what? Oh man, he has to get his left arm amputated. Oh well, he's fine because it's his non-throwing arm, right? He doesn't even need that arm. He could still eat, throw football. He'll be fine. Don't be dumb. Like, that's my advice, by the way. If I can get T-shirts made, beer koozies made, I would love to. Don't be dumb. That's all. I don't want a fancy little logo. I just want a shirt that says, don't be dumb. And then every time I come across dumb people, just hand them the shirt. Here's, I got you something. Put it on. Just a reminder, don't be dumb. Oh, it's his non-throwing arm. Don't be dumb. Baker's no good. They need to move on from him. Don't be dumb. Who are you going to get? Who? It's not like the Browns have just been like they're at the grocery store with the little cart and there's, take this quarterback here. I'll take this quarterback there. Oh, let's see. I don't want the generic quarterback. I want the name brand one. I'll take that quarterback right there. 2 decades. They went along trying to find a quarterback to win a football game. Got to the playoffs last year. They won in the playoffs. They would have, when healthy, Baker is a very, very good quarterback. There's no need to even entertain the idea of moving on from him. So just one more time, anytime you decide that you're going to wake up on any given day and you're going to wake up, you're going to pour a bowl of cereal, make your morning coffee, you turn the water on to get in the shower, and you at any point start to think that, man, I'm tired of hearing about Baker's injuries. That's his non-throwing shoulder. Don't be dumb. That's just my reminder. Don't be dumb. Don't say that you don't make any sense. You don't make any sense. You have no clue what you're talking about. If your response is, well, my quarterback's tough because he plays with a little jam pinky, and Baker's a wuss because he has a broken bone in his non-throwing shoulder with a torn labrum, if that's honestly how you think, you have lost the right to call me a troll, and you have lost the right to talk football or have anything to do with this show. Don't be dumb. It's that simple. Don't be dumb. So, no, I know what you're saying. Maybe the Browns are looking to move on from him, but just because that's the other thing, too. You as fans think that because you're a fan of a team, you have to praise what your team does no matter what. That's not how I operate. I'm critical of your team. I'm also very critical of mine. There was a stretch last year where I said if the Browns had a shot to go and get a Matt Ryan, go get Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan's not playing great this year, but people forget he was top 5 total yards last year, touchdowns, high completion percentage like Matt Ryan. Just because his team wasn't good, it wasn't because he wasn't good. He didn't have a good roster. So I had no problem last year saying, hey, I like Baker Mayfield. I think over time he's going to develop into something solid. But the Browns roster is a win now roster. They didn't have time to wait for Baker to develop. It's like, okay, you either get it, you either crap or get off the pot. You either get it now or we're going to have to find someone who is ready now. So, again, I don't waste your time by saying, well, they have a problem. Their quarterback's bad. Okay, well, what's their solution? I'm going to bring you solutions. Last year, my solution was Matt Ryan because they were putting it out there that they were looking for a trade partner to get rid of Matt Ryan. I said, man, you put Matt Ryan with OBJ and Jarvis and Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt and that offensive line and that defense. Not only do they win the division last year, they definitely beat the Steelers. They beat the Chiefs in that situation and honestly probably beat the Bills in the AFC title game. So, I'm not a homer like you guys think. I'm actually able to be critical of my team, and I will be critical of the Browns if they move on from Baker Mayfield. I think they are hurting the team by moving on from Baker more than they are sticking with him. Because, again, to move on from Baker Mayfield without any idea who you're going to replace him with, and if your replacement for him is a rookie quarterback, then that's dumb. Don't be dumb. I'm going to send a shirt to the Browns. I have this imaginary shirt line that just says, don't be dumb on it. I'm going to send that shirt to the Cleveland Browns, and I'm sure they'll wear it because I'm like, oh, yeah, that Justin Kinner guy in Dayton. Yeah, we've heard so much about him. They'll wear it. Don't be dumb. No, there's no need to move on from Baker Mayfield. So I've said before that the silver lining of Baker Mayfield not being elite is that you don't have to pay him as an elite quarterback. You're not elite. You don't get paid elite money. And when you don't have to pay your quarterback elite money, you now have extra money to be able to keep your Kareem Hunts. You're able to keep your offensive line. You're able to keep some key pieces on the defensive side as well. And so when the Bengals get to the point to where they have to give max dollars to Joe Burrow and they don't have enough money to put an offensive line out there, they don't have enough money to keep T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd, Jamar Chase. They don't have enough money to keep multiple running backs. They don't have enough money to pay their Jesse Bateses of the world and their Hiltons and their, when they don't have enough money for all that because they had to put all their money into their quarterback, then what you end up with is a Green Bay Packers situation. I could tell I irritated a Tim in the chat section. I mean, I think it's the Tim that calls in that's a Packers fan. He gets real defensive anytime I say anything remotely critical of his Packers team. But that's an example of a team that has all of their money invested into their quarterback. They have to rely on draft picks and draft picks alone to be able to provide weapons for their quarterback. And they never go out and spend the money to provide him with those elite weapons. So what you get is you get that 9 to 10 win team every year. Win your division here and there, but you end up getting to the playoff with your expensive quarterback and your playoff caliber roster. It'll be just good enough. Every year you're going to be just good enough. Every year you'll be like the Packers. By the way, we do this every year with Green Bay. This is why I don't buy into Green Bay. Like, Green Bay is a cute little regular season story. Aaron Rodgers putting his toe up to the camera. He's weird. The Packers, every year, win a lot of games. Every year, they're the Super Bowl favorites out of the NFC, and he hasn't been there in 12 years. It's been a long time. Been 11, 12 years since the Packers were in the Super Bowl last, or 10, whatever, double digit. You mean to tell me that the Packers, who invested all of their money into Aaron Rodgers, you would think you would have more than you would have at least one Super Bowl appearance in the last 10 years. They don't have that. So by all means, pay your quarterback. Go get your elite quarterback. Sometimes having an elite quarterback isn't all what it's made out to be because, like I said, Aaron Rodgers, all the money goes to him. They don't have money for a lot of other key pieces to put them at that elite level. So they win a lot in the regular season, again, because they beat up on the bad Lions, the bad Vikings, and they beat up on the bad Bears. They beat up on a lot of bad teams. They're like Pittsburgh for the longest time. There's a reason, by the way, that Pittsburgh hasn't made it to the Super Bowl in 10 plus years. There's a reason that the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Packers, the last time they were in the Super Bowl was against one another. And there's a reason that their quarterbacks who make a ton of money, there's a reason they haven't been back to the Super Bowl because, again, they win a lot of regular season games. They beat up on the Browns and Bengals every year. Super. The Packers beat up on the Lions and the Bears every year and the Vikings. Super. But then when it comes time to playing the good teams come playoff time, they can't get the job done because they don't have enough money to be able to pay enough elite players to fill the roster gaps to go up against the elite teams. So that's why you see the Kansas City Chiefs, who everyone was like, this is going to be the next great dynasty moving forward. Super. Gave $500 million. That's what the contract was to Patrick Mahomes. And if you're noticing, as each year goes on, and they've put a lot of that money on the backside of that contract, but you're still planning ahead for that. That's why you're not giving as much long-term contracts to star players on other positions. You're keeping your roster intact with what you have, but you're not adding pieces. You lose pieces, you replace them. But there's a reason you're starting to see the Chiefs they're just good. The Chiefs will be like the Packers. They're going to win a lot of regular season games. They're not getting back to the Super Bowl moving forward. The Chiefs are like the Packers. The Chiefs are like the Steelers. That's why I got so sick of hearing about the Patriot Way. The New England Patriot Way was Tom Brady taking less money. You pay. I mean, this isn't a new secret, folks. Your quarterback gets max dollars. Your team is not as good. It's that simple. Your team's good, not as good. Russell Wilson. So the Cincinnati Bengals here in 2 years, which isn't a bad thing, by the way. You would much rather your team be competitive and a chance to win your division every year. But history has told us the second you pay your quarterback max dollars, you're not winning another Super Bowl. You're not. Or winning a Super Bowl. Some teams don't get a chance to even win a Super Bowl within their quarterback's rookie contract. There's a reason the Bills, by the way, have more flaws this year than last year. Why? Because they pay their quarterback. It's that simple. The Seahawks were dominant in the first 2-3 years of Russell Wilson. They haven't been back since. Why? You paid your quarterback. So the Cincinnati Bengals, when you pay Joe Burrow, super. Joe Burrow, this might be one of the better rosters he plays on. As critical as I am of the roster, I actually think that next year I will predict will be the best roster Joe Burrow ever plays on moving forward. Everyone's like, oh, this roster for Baker Mayfield, this will be the best roster he ever plays on moving forward. I don't think so. I think that the Browns are going to be able to keep a lot of these core pieces in place moving forward because they're not going to have to put all their money into their quarterback. So Baker not being elite is actually a silver lining for the Browns because he is just good enough to win them football games. They're going to have enough money to be able to put, around the team. Now look at the Vikings. Kirk Cousins is a prime example of a guy that, if you didn't give him max dollars because he should not be a top paid quarterback in the NFL, Kirk Cousins is good, very, very good. I think he's, maybe 2 years ago better than even Baker is now, but he should not be a top 5 paid quarterback in the NFL. You imagine if he got paid less on a roster with Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen and Dalvin Cook, and you actually had money to go load up the defense, although they are one of the top pass rushing teams in football, but like the Vikings would be elite, but they're not elite because they're quarterback. It's that simple. And it's not because the quarterback's not elite. It's because his contract's elite. Baker's not going to be an elite contract guy. So that's fine. The Packers enjoy winning a lot in the regular season. That's why I'm laughing at everyone drooling over the Packers. Oh, the Packers are so good. They are good. They're good every year. They've been good for a decade now. No Super Bowl appearance in over a decade. That's weird to me. So that's why everyone obsesses with getting that elite quarterback. Well, it costs you. It does. It costs you. Sure, you're interesting and relevant every year. But then why is it every year we're talking about the teams with the young quarterbacks? Why are we talking about the Chiefs the last 2 to 3 years with Patrick Mahomes on a rookie contract? We won't talk about that moving forward. We won't. All right. The Browns last year were interesting. Why? Rookie quarterback deal. The quarterback on the rookie quarterback contract, right? Talented team. The Bills, same thing. You had the Chiefs and the Bills who were in the exact same situation. Quarterbacks on rookie contracts. Boom. Now I know Patrick Mahomes got his max deal after winning that Super Bowl that year, but that money had not kicked in yet. But it's starting to kick in this year, and it'll kick in next year, and it'll get bigger and bigger moving forward, and the roster will get less talented and less talented because you have less money to fill those holes. It's that simple. So while Baker's making not elite money, and Baker has more weapons around him, they will be in better shape to win in the playoffs than the Cincinnati Bengals moving forward, who will have a max paid quarterback, who will have less weapons at that point, who will look solid in the regular season. And everyone's going to say, oh man, that Bengals team with Joe Burrow, that team led by Joe Burrow is going to be a Super Bowl contender. You better hope they get it done in the next 2 years, because after that, it ain't going to get done. And that's not an opinion. That's a fact. Look at the history of the NFL in the last 20 years. Once you pay your quarterback, that's it. You're going to win a lot of games. You're not going to win the ones that matter. There you go. But at least you're interesting every year. So I'll take the Browns situation. Moving on from Baker Mayfield makes zero sense to me. It actually creates a problem, because moving on from Baker means you stop winning, you start rebuilding. Now, let's say they are fortunate enough to go get Aaron Rodgers. More power to you. It's not easy. That's not a plan. Like, even the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, for everyone out there that's like, oh man, the Buccaneers, they should move on from Jameis Winston. You know who should they go get that Tom Brady fella? You think that the front office of the Buccaneers knew a year in advance that, hey, you know what? This Jameis dude, we're done with him after this year. We're going to move on. We're going to go get that Tom Brady fella. No, they had no clue they were getting Tom Brady until they officially got Tom Brady, until it became part of that, that little 2-week stretch of him starting to meet with teams and what have you. You don't plan ahead for that. The Bucs got, I don't want to say lucky, but like at the same time, the Buccaneers, they didn't plan ahead for Tom Brady. They didn't go into last season knowing that they were going to have Tom Brady. I should say they didn't head into last offseason knowing that they were going to get Tom Brady. It's as simple as that. So for the Browns, for you Browns fans and Browns haters to say, move on from Baker Mayfield and go get a Russell Wilson or go get an Aaron Rodgers, you think that that's something that's being planned right now? You can't plan for that. You don't know. You got to hope to be lucky. And to plan for that, that means you have to have already given up on Baker Mayfield and then gamble that you're going to get Aaron Rodgers. What happens if you move on from Baker Mayfield, try to get Aaron Rodgers, and then don't get Aaron Rodgers? Now you don't have Baker Mayfield. Now, sure, you may have Case Keenum, but I have yet to see anything from Case Keenum since coming to the Browns that I feel comfortable with as being the guy for a bridge year, by the way. If you're going to have Case Keenum be your starter, you might as well keep Baker, who's better. Everyone's like, oh, they're the same quarterback. Baker's a better playmaker. I'll take Baker over Case Keenum any day. Plus, the Browns have had multiple opportunities this year to push Case Keenum, and they haven't even tried. They haven't even tried. When they bring him in, he hands it off. When he started that one game against the Broncos, he threw the ball 18 times. Like, stop. Like he's not an answer either. So you move on from Baker, hit the reset button, and you're right back to being the Browns of old. Last 2 decades, you stick with Baker. You continue giving him weapons, fifth year option, take advantage of that. They have, and let's ride this out. But no hurry to move on from Baker. Burrow will get paid. Burrow will be paid like an elite quarterback. But again, I don't trust that front office of the Bengals to be able to make good enough moves consistently to make up for the lack of money and resources they're going to have to fill out that roster. If the Green Bay Packers haven't found a way to get Aaron Rodgers back to a Super Bowl in over a decade, I have negative 50,000% confidence in the Cincinnati Bengals' ability to be able to find a way to construct a roster once Burrow's paid elite money to get them back either. So that's not a shot. I think Bengals fans, you agree with that. You're just not going to give me the satisfaction of saying you're right, but you know I'm right on that. Your organization, that's why Jake Whiting, I forgot where you went. Where was his comment? Jake Whiting in the comment section had brought up, how could anyone have thought that the Bengals were going to be bad heading into this year when you look at the roster? And I said, well, that's the reputation of your franchise. Like, you guys get so butthurt about the reputation of your franchise, but it's an embarrassing franchise. That's why no one gives the Bengals the benefit of the doubt. You're right, Jake. That roster coming in, Joe Mixon, T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd, you get Jamar Chase with your number 5 overall pick and $200 million on the defense. I didn't give the Bengals the respect coming into the year. Nobody did. Even the fans kept doing this cautiously optimistic approach. Man, we're going to be really good this year. We're not going to be playoff good, but we're going to be good. Well, what does that mean? If you're good, you make the playoffs. If you're not good, you don't make the playoffs. It's as simple as that. So you're double hedging there. But the reason the Bengals didn't get that respect or they were not given that benefit of the doubt is because they're not a good franchise. They don't deserve that respect. The Cleveland Browns won 13 games total last year, and you still had people not buying in. Why? It's the reputation of the franchise. I didn't fight it because they're the Cleveland Browns. They're a joke of an organization. A 2 or 3 year winning stretch for the Browns, that doesn't change who they are. Just because a clown wipes his makeup off doesn't mean he's not a clown anymore. It just means that you don't have the makeup on for a bit. Just because the Browns aren't embarrassing right now doesn't mean that they're not still an embarrassing franchise. It takes a while to change your reputation as a franchise. It takes a while. So the Bengals, no, I don't think they were disrespected coming into the year by being projected to win 4 to 5 games. That was the Bengal effect of, well, I think people acknowledge the talent on the roster, but I also believe that I think that because you're the Bengals, anytime you head into a season and you see these national hosts predict how many wins you're going to have, you could probably add 2 to 3 games to that because you automatically, being the Cincinnati Bengals, you get -3 games heading into the year. So when people projected them to win 4 to 5, they normally would have given you an 8-game prediction if they respected your franchise, and they don't. And that's okay because they don't respect the Browns either. And that's just, you don't deserve that respect. Your franchise isn't good enough for that. That's their fault, not the national radio hosts and TV guys across the country. Here's an example, folks. Here's an example. Okay. The Bengals are sitting atop the AFC North. And although you're excited in Bengal country, I listen to national shows all day, watch national shows all day. You want to know the team that everyone's talking about out of the AFC North? Baltimore. Well, Baltimore still, to me, is the favorite to win this division. Baltimore. The Bengals have Joe Burrow, T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd, Jamar Chase, Joe Mixon, a $200 million offense, one of the top pass rushers in the league in Hendrickson, one of the best secondaries in the league, led by Hilton and Bates and so on and so on. And we're talking about the depleted, banged up, second string Baltimore Ravens. Now, why, folks? Again, I'm not bashing your Bengals. This is the reality of it. The Bengals are getting the benefit of the doubt because they're the better franchise. The Ravens have lost 3 straight, and yet the popular vote is, well, I'm voting for the Ravens because they're the Ravens. They're just the better team. They're not the better team. The Ravens are not better than the Bengals, but they're better than the Bengals because they're a better franchise, and that's why they're given the benefit of the doubt. The franchise that has lost 3 straight games is being given the benefit of the doubt. And the team that, like the Bengals, that has 8 wins, that was only projected to win 4, they're not being given the benefit of the doubt because it's still a bad organization. Good team, bad organization. Cleveland, same thing. If any other team out there would have suffered as many injuries and had a quarterback battling through a torn labrum and broken bone in his non-throwing shoulder, if this was any other roster and any other franchise that had this storyline, like somehow the Browns are, like everyone's like, oh man, I can't, this sucks. The Browns are 7-7. I don't care if this is a homer take. The fact that with everything they've gone through this year, the fact that the Browns are 7-7 is pretty damn impressive if you ask me, considering how many guys they have out on a weekly basis. COVID, everything, the OBJ drama, everything that has happened this year. Multiple games without we're talking about 5 games without Jarvis Landry, 4 games without Nick Chubb, All right. The defensive line, they have Jadeveon Clowney and they had Tack, and they have obviously Myles Garrett, but those three guys are rarely ever on that D-line all at the same time. They're rarely healthy all at the same time. The secondary, I mean, you get guys 1 week out the next. I mean, I get it. That's the NFL, but when every week it's something and it's multiple guys at multiple positions, somehow they're 7-7. They're just bad in the eyes of the national media, and that's okay. I'm even saying this as a Browns fan. They don't deserve the benefit of the doubt. It's still the Cleveland Browns. You are still the Cincinnati Bengals. The Browns are winning despite a lot of drama and a lot of injuries and COVID and everything. They're still 7-7. They're still 500 here in mid-December. The Bengals are 8-6. Somehow, some way, 8-6 after being as bad as they were last year. And people still aren't buying in nationally, although they are buying into Joe Burrow. They're not buying into the Bengals as a whole, but they would rather put faith into that 3 straight loss Baltimore Ravens team because they're a better franchise. And it's going to take time for our team, the Browns, and your team, the Bengals. It's going to take time for our Ohio teams to shake that perception. Bottom line, it's going to take some time. We'll be back in a moment. 518-1410. I'll get to your Facebook reactions next.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, right here on ESPN 1410 Wing AM.
If coming up with a perfect gift idea is making you feel a little like the Grinch, Roosters can put you in the giving spirit. For every $50 of gift cards purchased, you'll receive a $10 Roosters Holiday Buck to enjoy Roosters award-winning wings and so much more. Don't be a Grinch. How dare you! We all know it's better to give than receive, right? What could be better than giving and receiving? Go to roosterswings.com for more info or drop by any of our locations and purchase your gift cards today. Happy holidays and Merry Christmas from Roosters, a fun, casual joint.
Hello, it's John Kozik, founder and president of TurboTrack Realty, and I buy houses as is fast for cash. Call me today for an all-cash offer on any of your properties, and we can close within days at 614-470-2000, 614-470-2000. Do you own a property that's outdated and needs thousands of dollars in repairs? Great, I'll buy it. Give us a call today for an all-cash offer at 614-470-2000, 614-470-2000. 72,000. Would it be convenient for you if you could simply take what you wanted and leave the rest behind? Great, I'll buy it. I buy all types of real estate completely as is. I buy vacant properties, inherited homes, divorce situations, death in the family, apartment buildings, rental portfolios. I even buy my tenant won't pay me the rent houses. Call TurboTrack Realty today for an all-cash offer and speak with one of our friendly staff members at 614-470-2000, 614-470-2000.
There's never any FOMO with the iHeartRadio app. You won't ever have to miss out on your favorite shows and contests with this radio station again. Radio 24/7, 365. We're here when you want us. Stay connected and listen anywhere when you download the free iHeartRadio app.
Gather near and bring the cheer this holiday season. Dazzle and delight the love of your life with a gift from Hellsberg Diamonds. Don't miss great prices on stunning diamond studs, tennis bracelets, gemstone rings, and the year's must-have look, gold jewelry for stacking and layering. There's still time to gift and save. Get half-carat total weight diamond studs for $399.99, a savings of $200. Visit Hellsberg.com or a store near you. Limited time offer while supplies last. See online or in-store for details.
Give the gift of a Dayton tradition. Milano's Pizza Subs and Taps. Milano's gift cards are the perfect way to give good times and those favorite subs and pizza to family and friends. Right now, for each $25 Milano's gift card you buy, you'll get $5 more free.
If your family depends on your income and something happened to you, what would happen to them? You need life insurance, and SelectQuote can help you get it at a price you can afford.
SelectQuote found Jacob, 40, who's in excellent health, a 10-year, $500,000 policy for only $19 a month.
Not in perfect health? Don't worry.
SelectQuote found Tanya, 40, who has type 2 diabetes, a 10-year, $500,000 policy for only $32 a month.
We shop companies like Protective, Prudential, American General, and others to find you the company with the best rates. Give your family the security they need at a price you can afford.
For your free quote, call 1-800-885-5959. That's 1-800-885-5959. Or go to selectquote.com. That's 1-800-885-5959.
Select Quote. We shop, you save.
Get full details on the example policies at selectquote.com/commercials. Your premium could vary depending on your health, issuing company, and other factors. Not available in all states.
Are you one of those people who thinks it's okay to drive stoned? I mean, what's the worst that can happen? You end up driving below the speed limit? It's no big deal, right? Wrong. The truth is, your reaction times slow way down when you're high. You not only put yourself in danger, but everyone around you. Talk about a buzzkill. Stop kidding yourself. It's not okay to drive high. If you've been using marijuana in any form, do not get behind the wheel. If you feel different, you drive different. Drive high, get a DUI. Paid for by NHTSA.
When others treat your fries as an afterthought, all you're left with are cold, soggy fries. That's why Wendy's new fries are ones you won't forget, guaranteed to be hot and crispy, or we'll replace them. We're talking natural cut, skin-on fries, perfectly seasoned with a hint of sea salt. In fact, they're even preferred almost 2-to-1 over McDonald's. These are fries so hot and crispy, they beg a new question.
What would you like with your fries?
Try them today, only at Wendy's.
At participating U.S. Wendy's, taste preference based on a national taste test by an independent research company.
Hey, here to tell you about my friends at Cordell Transportation. They're now hiring Class A CDL drivers and offering a $5,000 sign-on bonus. That's right, a $5,000 sign-on bonus. Home daily, dedicated lanes, and no-touch freight. Brand new equipment as well. Medical, dental, vision, and company-paid life insurance. Call Cody right now. Apply online at CordellTransportation.com. Cordell Transportation, driven to succeed.
All right, we welcome you back. Justin Kinner with you here on a Wednesday. The Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Orion Sports Medicine, Tim's Bar and Grille on Brown Street, and, of course, Brad Mays with Home Experts Realty. I got to talking to Mark Smith on Facebook, and we're live on Facebook. Search the Justin Kinner Show on Facebook and go and like and subscribe. You know, just go and do it just to entertain. Just go like it. I always feel pretty good about myself. I see that people are liking the Facebook page, like, because I know, like, look, you know, I don't get a lot of followers on Twitter. I don't have a lot of people on Facebook trying to build that up. But, you know, you got to be likable to get likes. Well, it's much easier just to ask you to go like it than for me to try to be likable. So just go like the damn page and help me out, would you? So there you go. But we welcome you back. And Mark Smith on Facebook said a little bit ago that, you know, the Browns might move on from Baker Mayfield at the end of the season, and who do I think that they should go target? And I have no idea who they should go target, because I'm not even willing to entertain the idea of them moving on from Baker Mayfield, because I think it's silly. Now, let's say an opportunity presents itself that when the Super Bowl's over and that, you know, we're ahead of the draft, you know, they want to, that Aaron Rodgers has officially told the Packers, I want out. I think that the Browns should kick the tires on that. I think that the Browns have enough talent on both sides of the ball, as well as a quarterback, that they could send to Green Bay and say, okay, for Aaron Rodgers, we can give you Baker Mayfield, a couple first rounders, and send whatever, you know, send a Greg Newsome, send a player over. However, you would get Aaron for 1 year, which makes it pointless. I would much rather be a team in Cleveland that has a chance to win every single year than to go all in for 1 year. And let's not ignore the fact that it is Cleveland. So even when good things happen, something bad will happen. You know, when good seasons come about, something bad will happen to ruin it, right? Like look at this past weekend. The Cleveland Browns, if they would have won the other night, they'd be in first place. They'd be sitting atop the AFC North. But no. Football gods, of all the teams that could have had a COVID outbreak to keep a team from going to first and dropping to last, it just had to be the Cleveland Browns, right? Like, something bad always happens. That's how it is. To me, get the deal done with Baker Mayfield. Now, I'm against the idea of Cleveland moving on from Baker. Now, some other people in the comment section have asked, okay, well, what do you do if he demands top dollar? Then I become anti-Baker at that point. If the Cleveland Browns move on from Baker Mayfield because he's delusional and asking for top dollar, I support the Browns sticking to their guns and saying, we want to extend you. We want to have you be our quarterback, but for the right price. And you are not Josh Allen. You are not Patrick Mahomes. You are not an elite quarterback that deserves that type of money. So, you know, when I'm giving you my opinion on this, it's coming from the mindset of the Browns should not look to terminate this relationship with the assumption being that Baker's not asking for an astronomical amount of money. But if the reports come out that Baker's asking for the max deal, I am in full support of the Browns saying, you know what, we're not giving you that money. We will go back to the drawing board and hit reset before we give you max dollars, because I think it would be a mistake to give Baker Mayfield max dollars, which I've been saying from the very beginning, folks. Like you weirdos that when I criticize Joe Burrow, you guys come back with, oh, but you'll give Baker max dollars. I'm like, go back and find where I've said that, morons. I've never said that. Just because I say something about this quarterback doesn't mean that I'm saying that this quarterback's better. That's what amazes me about you people. Like, you hear one thing and like today, Joe Burrow made one of the stupidest comments to the media earlier today, and I posted it. And instead of Bengals fans saying, yeah, that was pretty dumb, you got mad at me for posting it. Kick rocks. I tell you to kiss something else, but it's the holidays. I'm trying to be nicer on the holidays. But you're a soft human being that me posting Joe Burrow's dumb comments from earlier today is that bothers you. And by the way, if you don't know what I'm talking about, Joe Burrow was asked about some of the things that his team is doing to help prevent having an outbreak on their roster. Here's Joe Burrow.
And we're doing a great job with our COVID protocols. Fortunately, there's not a ton to do in Cincinnati, so it's not, nobody's going out to clubs and bars and getting COVID every weekend. But we've been healthy.
What a ringing endorsement from your franchise quarterback, by the way. You know what I mean? Like, ooh. Hey, there's not a whole hell of a lot to do. I mean, he made it sound like, God, for this crap-ass city. Thank God we have a crap-ass city with not a whole lot to do, so we're forced to stay inside in this boring city. That's what he just said. I didn't say it. He did. And dang well that was a dumb comment. And damn well if Baker Mayfield would have said, well, we're really surprised by the COVID outbreak on our team. I mean, there's nothing to do in this city anyway, so it's not like we're going out anywhere. Everyone would have ripped him for saying that. But your quarterback says it, and he's being a leader. Like, stop. By the way, it's not really a big deal. I just found it funny. And it's funny. It's funny. You know what I mean? Like, deep down that comment was funny by Joe Burrow. But you also know that it is fair to be critical of that comment, especially come free agents. I mean, what does that say about your organization come free agency when there's pressure for the Bengals to go get some key free agents to come here? And I'm a free agent. I'm like, well, this is a cheap organization with bad ownership, and it's Cincinnati, and I don't know. I'm not really sold on coming here. The hell, their own quarterback even said there's not a whole hell of a lot to do. I'm just saying, like that it was kind of a dumb comment. I know that he didn't really intend to tear down his own city, but it was kind of a dumb comment, and it was dumb. And it wasn't intended to be dumb, but it was dumb, and it was dumb. So let's just say it is what it is. It's okay to be a Bengals fan and say, yeah, that was kind of a dumb comment. I wish he wouldn't have said that. That doesn't make you a bad fan, and it doesn't make you a good fan to come at me for saying that was a dumb comment. Because again, kick rocks. That's my response. Don't be dumb. Don't be dumb and kick rocks. That's the t-shirts. I'm going to get t-shirts made, a ton of them. That's my goal for the new year. Get t-shirts made. Don't be dumb and kick rocks. That'll be the lines on my shirts that I put out coming in the 2022 year. I can't wait. We're going to sell these babies out. In fact, I'm not even going to sell them. We're going to be always sold out because I'm just going to be giving them away for free, because every time I hear someone say something dumb, I'm going to give them a "Don't Be Dumb" t-shirt. And that was one of them. Getting mad at me. I mean, what? I already forgot. I mean, this guy comes at me all the time on Facebook. He actually got mad at me earlier today because I posted. No, it was dumb. It was dumb.
And we're doing a great job with our COVID protocols. Fortunately, there's not a ton to do in Cincinnati, so it's not, nobody's going out to clubs and bars and getting COVID every weekend.
And by the way, Joe Burrow, that's also a dumb comment. Oh, yeah. We're going to, hey, you guys bored this weekend? I thought about going to the bar and picking up a couple cases of COVID. You guys want anything? No, we're good. Oh, it's a boring city. No bars with COVID. Okay. Like, what? That doesn't even make sense. How are we going to go to the bar? We're not going to get COVID because we're not going to the bars. Yeah, because Cleveland got COVID by going to the bars, right? Right? Like, that was a weird comment. And it's okay to criticize the comment. It really is. It's kind of weird. Yeah, Damon Hahn says, by the way, if you can't find something to do in Cincinnati, you are not looking. And I agree. Like, I think that every city, people make fun of Milwaukee. Sure, there are some cities where there's more to do than others, but that doesn't mean that because there's more to do in some cities than others that there's nothing to do. I love Cincinnati. You guys must think I hate Cincinnati. I love going to Cincinnati. I would love to live in Cincinnati. There's a lot to do in Cincinnati. I would love to live as close to downtown as possible. I love living close to the city. I would love to live down in the city. I love it. So it's just weird to me, especially for a kid that grew up in Ohio. Remember, he's an Ohio guy, right? His family's from Ohio, right? Like, I mean, he's an Ohio guy, technically. But I'm just saying, like, I don't know. Thought it was a weird comment to make. Mark Smith said he's from Athens. Ain't nothing there but woods and ponds. I know, right? Like, I mean, make a couple $1 million, all of a sudden your expectations become a little too high. Lamar Shelley says you trade Baker for Russell Wilson. He's been to the Super Bowl before, and he gives you more than 1 or 2 years. Well, by golly, how come we didn't think of that? My goodness, the answer's been in front of us this whole time. Why stick with Baker Mayfield when you could just go out and get a Russell Wilson? Because it's that easy. It's that easy. Now I feel bad because I jumped on Lamar. I just got done telling listeners, hey, don't just say get rid of Baker. Come at me with the solution. So I'm sorry, Lamar. I'm a hypocrite. I said to give me a solution. You did. Yes, I agree. There's only 2 quarterbacks that the Browns can go get this next offseason, Lamar, that I would be okay with moving on from Baker. You don't just move on from Baker to go draft Pickett from Pitt. You don't move on from Baker so that you can just have Case Keenum be your starting quarterback. That's dumb. Don't be dumb, right? Like, that's my advice to Cleveland. Don't be dumb. Don't move on from Baker to have Case Keenum be your quarterback. Don't move on from Baker to go draft Pickett and start the process all over again. Doesn't make any sense. If you can get a Russell Wilson, more power to you. Do it. Find a way. Get Russell Wilson in Cleveland. But it sounds good, but I mean, see how weird that it's not that easy. If it was that easy, Cleveland would have been able to find ways to get quarterbacks for the 2 decades that they were searching before they finally got Baker. It's not that easy. If they can get Aaron Rodgers, more power to them. It's not going to happen, but it sounds good. Well, you're the Browns. You're so dumb. Why do you have Baker Mayfield? Why don't you go get an Aaron Rodgers? You're right. Why don't we call up old Tom Brady, see if he feels like spending a year in Cleveland, maybe 2 if we're lucky. You're right. But it's not that simple. I don't think it's as simple as getting Russell Wilson either. Like I said, I'm not saying I'd rather have Baker than Russell Wilson, but I kind of would prefer to have Baker than Russell Wilson just because when Baker's healthy, you can win with him. He proved it last year. And you'll have Baker for, way significantly cheaper. You bring Russell Wilson to Cleveland, what you get is the Seattle Seahawks. Now, you're probably saying, well, what's wrong with that? What's wrong with that is I can keep Baker Mayfield, win 10 to 11, 12 games every year and have a chance to win in the playoffs every year because they're going to have a lot more money to spread around different positions. Or you could be the Seahawks, who wins 9 to 10 games a year and has no shot of winning in the playoffs once you get there because you have too much money invested in your quarterback. Russell's better than Baker. Baker's a better fit than Russell because of the money situation. So that's kind of where I'm at with that. Continue to go down this list here in these responses as well. Jake Whiting says, this sounds like Madden franchise moves. None of this is happening. Huh? This sounds like Madden franchise moves. Oh, yeah. I see what you're saying. Yeah, like this isn't a video game where, I don't really like this quarterback. I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to trade for Aaron Rodgers. I'm going to trade for Russell Wilson. Doesn't really work that way. Where'd my Packers fan go? He's been getting all defensive with me. So let me set the context of this. Earlier, I said that teams are always so adamant about, man, we need to go get a Patrick Mahomes. We need to get an Aaron Rodgers. We need to go get Josh Allen. We need that elite quarterback. And my thing is this, is if your goal is always to put a roster together, to put yourself in position to go win a Super Bowl, you could say that they give you the best chance to do that, but I disagree because the history tells us that's not going to happen. Man, the Browns, if they really wanted to win the Super Bowl, they need an Aaron Rodgers. If the Packers really want a Super Bowl, if the Bengals really want a Super Bowl, they need an Aaron Rodgers type quarterback. Do you? I think what you need an Aaron Rodgers for is to always be relevant and interesting. Big Ben for the Steelers for this past decade, he has always made the Steelers interesting, but he hasn't got them a Super Bowl in over a decade. Aaron Rodgers, sure, it's interesting. He hasn't been to a Super Bowl in over a decade. You need a Russell Wilson. He hasn't been to a Super Bowl in how long now? 6, 7 years? Been a while. It's been a long time. You're not winning Super Bowl. The quarterbacks that are getting you to the Super Bowl are your Jared Goffs, your Nick Foles, and your Carson Wentz's because they're on these cheaper deals, right? Like, it's not that hard to figure out. Are those quarterbacks better than Aaron Rodgers? Better than Patrick Mahomes? No. Patrick Mahomes is getting to the Super Bowl right now because he's on that rookie deal. Now you're probably saying, well, they just extended him last year and gave him that big deal. You're right, but the money is guaranteed, but he's not getting that money up front. That money is being pushed back a few years so that the Chiefs could still extend this Super Bowl contending window. But when that money does kick in full force, they won't have a Super Bowl caliber roster. They'll have a playoff caliber roster. They'll be interesting every year. So you got to ask yourself, do you want to be a team that has enough money and resources to be able to build a roster that's strong enough to go win a Super Bowl? Or do you want a team with an elite, high-paid quarterback that makes you interesting every year but not win one? I mean, again, if you're going to say, do you want Aaron Rodgers or Baker Mayfield? You're always going to say you want Aaron Rodgers. But take the names out of it. If I said, do you want a quarterback that you have to spend a lot of money on that's going to restrict your ability to put a roster together to win a Super Bowl? Or would you rather have a quarterback that you're more than capable of winning with, not going to have to pay him a lot, and you're going to have a lot more money to pay for both sides of the ball? Which one are you going to take? You're going to take the second option every single mother freaking time, right? Because that's common sense. But when you phrase it, do you want Aaron Rodgers or Baker Mayfield? Now it sounds weird. You sound dumb if you say, I want Baker Mayfield over Aaron Rodgers. What you have to do as a franchise is you have to understand, you can't look at it as I'm picking Baker Mayfield over Aaron Rodgers. What you are picking is financial flexibility for your roster to always give you an opportunity to have as many great players on both sides of the ball as possible. It's that simple. Stop looking at it as, oh man, I want Baker over Aaron Rodgers. What I want as a Browns fan is a quarterback that is really, really good, that's not elite, that's not going to get a lot of money, that's going to allow my team to spend money on more talent around the roster. They will have a better chance than the Packers and all that to win. That's not opinion. That's a fact. Aaron Rodgers hasn't been to a Super Bowl in over a decade. Oh, but he wins a lot of regular season games. Super. It's about winning in the playoffs. Can you win me a game in the playoffs? Jared Goff, Jimmy Garoppolo, Nick Foles / Carson Wentz. Colin Kaepernick, Flacco. And I bring up Colin Kaepernick not to be controversial and not to talk about things that make everyone uncomfortable. No, Colin Kaepernick was not a very good he was a solid quarterback. Flacco was a solid quarterback. Kaepernick was a solid quarterback. Nick Foles, solid quarterback. Garoppolo, solid quarterback. Jared Goff, solid quarterback. You know what all of them had in common? All in a Super Bowl. Talent on both sides of the ball. None of them elite. Or you could be an elite Big Ben over the last decade and not get to a Super Bowl. Or you could be elite Aaron Rodgers, not get to a Super Bowl. Or you could be elite Drew Brees over this last decade, not get to a Super Bowl. We could do this all day. That's all I'm saying, folks. It's not that hard to understand. Sure, it sounds weird saying, I want Baker Mayfield over Aaron Rodgers. But take the names out of it. I'm not picking Baker over Aaron. I'm picking Baker's financial impact on a roster versus Aaron. So that was my point. So Packers fan Tim got all mad. I talked about the fact that the Packers, they get a lot of easy wins in the regular season because they have to play the Lions a lot. They have to play a bad Vikings team, a bad Bears team a lot. Just like the Steelers, they got to beat up on the Browns and Bengals every single year. The Ravens got to beat up on the Browns and Bengals every single year. It was a cushion. The Patriots get the bad Dolphins every year. They get the Bills just became relevant within the last couple of years, but they get the bad Bills team every year. Right? The bad Jets team. That's been the key to their success is, yes, you have 3 bad opponents in your division every year to beat up on. Same thing with the Packers. The Vikings a little bit more competitive, but ultimately not a very good division. You got the freaking Lions every year. Kudos. So that's where I'm at with that. If I'm the Browns, I pick Baker Mayfield over Aaron Rodgers. It's as simple as that. It sounds weird. It sounds strange. I pick Baker Mayfield over Russell Wilson. I don't want Russell Wilson. I don't care if that makes me sound strange. Baker Mayfield's not elite. Russell Wilson is. I don't want elite. Elite restricts your roster. I know that sounds strange, and you guys are probably making fun of me, but tell me why I'm wrong for that. Name an elite quarterback that's not on a rookie deal that's worth it. Is Aaron Rodgers worth it in Green Bay? Sure, for season ticket holders. Sure, for ticket sales and TV, because you're going to get a lot of TV games because Aaron Rodgers is must watch. But guess what? Come playoff time, they lost. They lose they don't get to a Super Bowl. They're the favorites to win the Super Bowl this year. You guys say that about the Packers every year. They don't get it done. They don't get it done. So Tim, Packers fan, says, The Packers swept the NFC West because I said the NFC West is the best division in football this year. You just said that was the best division in football. If they beat the Browns, they'll have swept the AFC North as well. A little more than just beating the Lions and Vikings. Tim, listen, you're sounding like a Bengals fan. You're getting caught up all in your feelings. I've said nothing that is wrong or inaccurate, and yet you're still getting your feelings hurt, and I have no clue why or how. The Packers are a good football team. They're a great franchise. They're not a Super Bowl. They're not winning a Super Bowl. They're not even going to get to the Super Bowl. It's as simple as that. They are not getting to the Super Bowl. You're probably saying, well, Tom Brady gets there and he's max paid. Yeah, look how many players took a team-friendly deal to come play with them. That's not happening around the league. Name players that are taking pay cuts to go play with Aaron Rodgers. Name players that took pay cuts to go play with Drew Brees in New Orleans over the years. Name players taking pay cuts to go play with Russell Wilson. Nobody. Name players taking pay cuts to officially go play with Patrick Mahomes moving forward. Not happening. So, again, I'm not crazy here. I'm really not. I'm making a lot of sense, and that irritates you, but that's just too dang bad. The Packers enjoy it. They're not going to be in a position to win a Super Bowl because all their money's into a quarterback. You have just enough good players on both sides of the ball to be competitive in the regular season, win your division even. But when you get to the playoffs where you have to face an elite team every week, not going to get it done. So brag about your wins over the Lions and the Bears and the Vikings. Oh my. Brag about beating the Bengals. Brag about beating the Bengals. Brag about beating a bad Steelers team. Brag about beating a beat up Browns team this weekend, which will be pretty funny when they lose. I can't wait to watch Baker Mayfield and the Browns get a big win on Christmas Day. That's what I want for Christmas. Sports Santa. That's what I want for Christmas. The Browns kicking the Packers' ass. That's what I want. All right, enough. 518-1410. Be back in just a moment. I'll get back to reading these comments. Packers fan Tim, I'm sure, is upset. That's okay. So Mark Smith says the Packers have been in the position they're in for multiple seasons. If they don't win this year, Rodgers is gone. Yeah, Aaron Rodgers is going to throw a little temper tantrum because he's a crybaby. He blames the organization puts a lot of talent around him. He has the best wide receiver in football, but he complains because, I have the best wide receiver in football, but because we didn't get him in the first round, it doesn't count. Why does it matter? Talent's talent. Why does it matter where you get that talent from? If anything, I can argue that the organization that has done the best job of any organization out there with a max paid quarterback is the Packers. They always have a top offensive line. They always have a 1,000-yard rusher. They have Devontae Adams. They always have top wide receivers, all while not being able to afford an elite roster because he absorbs all of the hit, which is okay. Get your money. But what you're not allowed to do is, the Packers have done everything right, and just because they don't stroke his ego, he has to nitpick things like, well, sure, I have the number one wide receiver in football, but you didn't get him in the first round. That's what I have a problem with. Now you sound like an idiot. Now I can't get on board. I can't defend you. Why does if they're providing you with talent, why does it matter what round that it's coming in? Why? We all the time preach about the significance of, you can get a lot of talent in the back end of the draft. More whiffs come in the first round than they do in the later rounds. More stars come out of the later rounds in the first round for most scenarios. Your best players are being drafted early, but you still whiff on those guys a lot. You're whiffing amongst the top draft picks every year. Where you really win the draft is later on. The Bengals won the draft not because of Jamar Chase. I'm not giving him credit for Jamar Chase. I'm giving him credit for McPherson and the Joseph Osais, who only played one snap this year in preseason, but that guy looks like he's going to be one hell of a complimentary pass rusher to go along with Hendrickson moving forward. You know what I mean? Like, it is what it is. I'm rambling again. I'll be back. Hour 3.
The Justin Kenner Show with Kev Nash. Presented by Brad Mays with Home Experts Realty. Weekdays at 3 p.m. on 1410 ESPN Radio.
Listen to this station anytime, anywhere on Odyssey. Odyssey is your new audio home for all the music, news, sports, and podcasts that matter to you. Odyssey. That's AUDACY.
Come rain or shine, high winds or mild breezes, blue skies or gray. It's a great time to consider getting vaccinated against COVID-19. Sponsored by BioNTech and Pfizer.
Take home Frickers Holiday Feast. Frickin' yum, 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 yum. Our gift cards always please. Frickin' yum, 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 yum.
Take home 4 pounds of frickin' chicken chunks for only $29.99, carry out only. Buy a $25 Frickers gift card and you'll get 5 frickin' bonus bucks free. The ho, ho, ho for fun, food, sports, and spirits. Frickers.
Frickin' yum, yum.
Winter is here, and Rob's Beer Barn is stocked with seasonal refreshments and holiday beers, and they're going fast. Just in time for your favorite sporting events. Rob's Beer Barn also has you covered for your holiday plans. At Rob's, you'll find all the ice-cold refreshments you'll need. Craft, imported, local, and seasonal beers, fine wine, snacks, and ice. Plus, Rob's Beer Barn has apparel. For last-minute items, you can call, walk in, or drive through. Stock up today. Rob's Beer Barn on Indian Ribble Road at Darst, just a mile east of the Green. Rob's Beer Barn. Just look for the beaver.
Heard you're buying a car. I brought my calculator.
Dad, I already used Capital One Auto Navigator. I found my car online and got pre-qualified instantly, instead of all that.
You know those things impact your credit score.
Didn't impact my credit score, Dad. Now I'm going to the dealership for a test drive and to make the purchase.
Sounds too easy.
No, it's just easy. Capital One, what's in your wallet?
Terms and conditions apply. Find out more at CapitalOne.com/Auto Navigator.
Let's be real. Mopping is a hassle. You have to fill the bucket, pushing a wet, heavy mop around, then cleaning the mop when you're done so it doesn't grow bacteria. A hassle on top of a hassle. Try Swiffer Wet Jet. With Swiffer Wet Jet, you start with a fresh pad and cleaning solution every time. And when you're done, you just toss the pad. Swiffer Wet Jet, the faster, easier, cleaner way to clean your floors.
Dell Technologies' end-of-year sale is the perfect time to upgrade tech. Save big on the latest computers featuring Windows 11 Pro that easily automate workflows. Don't forget to shop servers, storage, and top-brand electronics with savings up to 45% and all with free shipping. Call a Dell Technologies advisor to help you transform your digital workspaces with comprehensive end-to-end solutions. Find the right tech for your business needs at 877-ASK-DELL. That's 877-ASK-DELL.
Prescription products require an online consultation with a healthcare provider and are only available if the provider determines a prescription is appropriate. Subscription required. See website for full details and important safety information.
Hey guys, good news. The expensive little blue pill is now generic, which means the prescription medication to treat ED is super affordable at 4hims.com. And now get your first online doctor's visit free at 4hims.com. That's right. Zero copay, no awkward face-to-face conversations to get your prescription. That's really good news. To start your free online visit, go to this exclusive address, 4hims.com/joy. That's FORHIMS.com/joy.
Come rain or shine, high winds or mild breezes, blue skies or gray. It's a great time to consider getting vaccinated against COVID-19. Sponsored by BioNTech and Pfizer.
ESPN 1410 Wing AM weather.
This afternoon will be mostly cloudy, a high near 35. Tonight will be partly cloudy and cold, a low near 22. And tomorrow will be partly cloudy, a high near 45. I'm Pete Spivak for 1410 ESPN Radio.
You have empty office space to fill or home office to create. You know what you need. You know what you'd like. But you also have a pretty good idea after you've shopped around the usual places what you need and what you like might not happen. Well, then you haven't been to Charles Larrick's Warehouse Outlet. Nobody has their selection. Nobody has their discounts. And every week, there's something new. If you need office furniture, Larrick's Warehouse Outlet can sell it to you for half the price and below manufacturer's selected prices. Half price and below on hundreds of items. Selection from budget to the best. Really, desks from $50 to $5,000. Filing cabinets from $25 to $500. Before you go anywhere else, do yourself a favor and come to Larrick's Warehouse Outlet. With 25,000 square feet of selection, you're not going to go anywhere else. Larrick's Warehouse Outlet at 23 McOil Avenue, Dayton. Open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6. Larrick's, continuing the tradition.
Give the gift of a Dayton tradition. Milano's Pizza Subs and Taps. Milano's gift cards are the perfect way to give good times and those favorite subs and pizza to family and friends. Right now, for each $25 Milano's gift card you buy, you'll get $5 more free.
BC Powder knows life pushes us to the max. Work to the max. Family to the max. It can all mean pain. to the max. So BC introduces new BC Max Strength. New BC Max relieves tough headaches and body pain at the speed of powder. Nothing stronger on pain without a prescription. Pain to the max? New BC Max. In a great tasting lemonade flavor.
Susan, I'm sorry I'm late. Traffic is terrible.
It sure is. But on top of that, gas prices have been skyrocketing. I can't believe how expensive gas has gotten recently.
Prices at the pump are up, but I never pay full price for gas anymore. I just use the free Get Upside Gas app that pays you cash back for every gallon of gas you buy.
Wait a minute. Are you saying you actually get paid cash when you buy gas with the Get Upside app?
Yes, up to 25 cents a gallon cash back every time I buy gas.
Does that actually add up to anything?
Some months I make $200 to $300.
Wow, that's serious extra cash. I'm downloading the free Get Upside app now.
Download the free Get Upside app now in the App Store or Google Play to save up to 25 cents a gallon when you buy gas. Use promo code RACE for a 25 cents a gallon bonus on your first tank. That's up to 50 cents a gallon on your first fill up. You can cash out anytime to your bank account, PayPal, or any gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Get Upside app and use promo code RACE for up to 50 cents a gallon cash back on your first tank. That's code RACE.
Are you one of those people who thinks it's okay to drive stoned? I mean, what's the worst that can happen? You end up driving below the speed limit? It's no big deal, right? Wrong. The truth is, your reaction times slow way down when you're high. You not only put yourself in danger, but everyone around you. Talk about a buzzkill. Stop kidding yourself. It's not okay to drive high. If you've been using marijuana in any form, do not get behind the wheel. If you feel different, you drive different. Drive high, get a DUI. Paid for by NHTSA.
Hey, here to tell you about my friends at Cordell Transportation. They're now hiring Class A CDL drivers and offering a $5,000 sign-on bonus. That's right, a $5,000 sign-on bonus. Home daily, dedicated lanes, and no-touch freight. Brand new equipment as well, medical, dental, vision, and company-paid life insurance. Call Cody right now. Apply online at CordellTransportation.com. Cordell Transportation, driven to succeed.
Don't put it off any longer. You know it's time. Time for a bathroom upgrade by Bath Creations. Bath Creations, serving the greater Dayton and Cincinnati area, is a leader in bathroom renovations, providing the best value in bath and shower remodeling, and proudly made in the USA. With Bath Creations, you get a beautiful modern bathroom that is safe, comfortable, and affordable. Attention first responders, veterans, and active military. Save $500 off your purchase. Visit on Poe Avenue in Dayton or online at mybathcreations.com and upgrade today.
There's no room for quitters on a job site. Not on the crew and not in the toolbox. When a job gets tough, I respond with force. My Master Force tools deliver power, performance, and durability that doesn't quit. Tools like my 20-volt cordless hammer drill. The brushless motor technology in that drill gives me up to 30% more power and 1.5 times the battery life. Professionals need tools they can rely on. Master Force tools, available at Menards.
This is CBS News business analyst Jill Schlesinger. Do you want to be a hero for the holidays? How about getting your loved one a new iPhone? That's right. Pure Talk has iPhone 12 starting at just $479 through the end of the year. And sure, they have 13s too. Switch to Pure Talk. Great nationwide 5G coverage. Yes, the same coverage as the big guys, but the average family saves over $800 a year. Now that's just smart. There's no need to overpay for Verizon, AT&T, or T-Mobile. Plus, with Pure Talk's 30-day risk-free guarantee, you've got nothing to lose. Unlimited talk, text, and 6 gigs of data is just $30 a month. And like I said, the iPhone 12, just $479. From your cell phone, dial pound 250 and say Jill50, and you'll save an additional 50% off your first month. Plus, save on a new phone. That's pound 250, say Jill50. Pure Talk is simply smarter wireless. Some restrictions apply. See site for details.
Come rain or shine, high winds or mild breezes, blue skies or gray. It's a great time to consider getting vaccinated against COVID-19. Sponsored by BioNTech and Pfizer.
We're live. We're local. What are you gonna miss? Strike 'em out. We're Dayton's ESPN radio station. Now, let's send it to the WING studios for Dayton's only local sports talk show. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Orion Sports Medicine.
All right, we are back. The Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Orion Sports Medicine, Tim's Bar and Grille on Brown Street, and Brad Mays with Home Experts Realty. This topic kind of took off a little bit just with the responses on social media. I'll get to your calls coming up here in just a second. But it's talking about, there's so much talk about, man, the Browns, they need to move on from Baker Mayfield. They need to get an elite quarterback. And I'm like, well, first of all, I think everyone prefers an elite quarterback, but you get what you pay for. And when you get what you pay for, you get an elite quarterback. You pay for an elite quarterback, you get an elite quarterback, but you also get everything that comes with that. You got to ask yourself, man, as a Browns fan, I'd so much rather be a Packers fan who has Aaron Rodgers every year. And everything like that. I'm like, you got to ask you, okay, well, the Packers have had Aaron Rodgers every year. We're heading into 2022. They haven't been to a Super Bowl since 2011. So I don't, the Pittsburgh Steelers, man, I'd much rather be a fan of the Steelers, who has Big Ben every year for the last decade plus. Man, he hasn't been to a Super Bowl since 2011. Now, where you're missing the point of the conversation coming into this is that it's not that they're elite, and that it's not because they're elite they're not getting to the Super Bowl. It's because they're paid to be elite, and that's why they're not getting to a Super Bowl. I'm not saying Aaron Rodgers isn't good, or that Big Ben isn't good, or that Russell Wilson, who hasn't been to a Super Bowl in years, isn't good. It's just their pay structure changes. So I see Michael Green on Facebook. He said, since 2010, the only quarterback on the list I see that wouldn't be considered elite is Flacco, and flies the list is Brady, Manning, Rodgers, and Wilson. Yes, but also you got to go and look at the scenarios of those. If you look at the Super Bowl history. So let's look at last year's, Tom Brady, max paid quarterback. Normally that wouldn't work, but what had to work there? Tom Brady goes there, takes all that money. Yes, but look at the roster. How many guys took pay cuts on the defensive side? Ndamukong Suh, vet minimum. All right, you look at Antonio Brown, and you look at Gronk, and you look at Leonard Fournette, all vet minimum guys. And you have some of your key offensive linemen all on rookie deals, by the way, or at least, young contract, cheaper deals. They don't have a lot of higher end offensive linemen. Really good offensive line. They're not spending a lot of money on that offensive line. And they got Tristan Wirfs and some other, young players too. The Bucs were not a max paid, so they had a max paid quarterback. But trust me, the only players in the history of sports that get people to take less money to go play with them, Tom Brady, that's it. No one's taking less money to go play with Aaron Rodgers. No one's taking less money no one was taking less money to go play with Drew Brees or anything like that. No. Peyton Manning with the Broncos had a higher end contract, but you had guys taking less money to go play with him in Denver. There's something about when an elite quarterback leaves their franchise to go on to the next team, it's almost viewed as like that farewell tour, like Tom Brady in Tampa. It feels like it's a sending, Tom Brady's just playing his remaining years in Tampa. It's like that farewell. So all these players man, I got to go jump on that Tom Brady wagon just to take advantage of the Super Bowl window right now. I have no clue. I don't get why guys don't take less money to go play with Patrick Mahomes in his prime. Why don't guys take less money to go play with Aaron Rodgers in his prime? Why does it take the last 3 years of an Aaron Rodgers, when that time comes, for guys to say, man, I'm going to take less money to go play with A-Rod? Why aren't they doing it now? That's not a shot at Aaron Rodgers, but I've never understood that. People wait till these quarterbacks get to a certain age before they then decide to go take advantage of the farewell tour. It is what it is. But Tom Brady taking less money when he was with the Patriots, that was the Patriot way. Not having a max paid quarterback, which gave him money to go get a bunch of really good guys. They didn't take that money and go invest in elite guys at other positions. They just went and got a conglomerate of a bunch of really good guys. That was the Patriot way. Everyone's like, man, I really wish we could figure out how to do the Patriot way. It's fairly freaking simple, actually. You got to have an elite coach. It's tough to find one of them, to be honest with you. Have an elite coach, have an elite quarterback that's going to take less money than he's worth. Also very difficult to do. And, with the money you save on the quarterback, you got to go and you got to get a bunch of really good players and draft well and fill those holes without elite players and elsewhere. Tom Brady, the best player he ever played with in New England was who? Randy Moss. Randy Moss is the best player he played with when he was in New England. So, and by the way, that's not a shot at Randy Moss. That was elite. That's the only elite player he played with when he was in New England. Obviously, he had the best tight end ever in Gronk, but they drafted him. They built him. So that's what fascinates me is these teams want an instant recipe to success. One doesn't exist. You have to literally build a team. It takes a lot to build a team, but you have to have a lot of the common pieces. Not an elite quarterback, but elite quarterback on a team-friendly deal. That doesn't happen. Patrick Mahomes isn't taking a team-friendly deal with Kansas City. He took $500 million Now you're like, well, they're still really good. Yes, they're playing out the final contracts of those who were with them when he signed that deal. Now you're probably saying, well, look at how much money they spent on their offensive line this past year. Well, that's a good point. Keep in mind, though, Patrick Mahomes still on his contract deal. He signed his extension. The money for that extension does not kick in until next season. Next season is when you're going to start to see, this upcoming offseason is when you're going to start to see the Chiefs moving on from a name or two for cap space purposes. It happens all the time. So on Facebook, when he said that, that's why you're seeing some elite names on there. But when you see Russell Wilson on that list, Russell Wilson wasn't elite at that time. He was a very, very good quarterback in his rookie deal on the rookie contract. Patrick Mahomes is getting to all these Super Bowls right now on his rookie contract. So yes, they're elite on a rookie contract. But once they get paid that max dollar, Aaron Rodgers is better now than when they went to the Super Bowl 10 years ago. He's paid too dang much. The team can't get enough talent on both sides. And by the way, that's not true. They have talent on both sides. But don't you think if they didn't have all their money absorbed into one particular player, you can get 1, 2, 3 more good players that would take you over the top? I mean, every year Green Bay's good. Every year Seattle's good. Not this year, but you see my point. Every year the Seattle's good. They're just not good enough come playoff time. Aaron Rodgers, the Packers, always good for 10 straight years now. Not good enough come playoff time. And I'm hearing in the chat section, well, Green Bay's different this year. They're going to be different this year. Every year we say that they're different. Every year we say, Aaron Rodgers, man, look out. He hasn't been to a Super Bowl in a decade. So that's all. It's Damon that says the Packers have their best shot this year now because of the injuries. This past weekend that hit Tampa Bay and everything along those lines. Yeah, we'll see. So there you go. But 518-1410, I talked about Packers fan Tim earlier. That's who we have now. Packers fan Tim, how are you, sir?
Angry. I'm laughing. You're the one that's a little angry, my man.
Oh, I'm not angry at all. I'm actually in a good mood. This is my last day before I take a week and a half off. I'm in a great mood, actually.
Well, you know what? It's my vacation. I'm a school teacher, so it's been fun being able to get on Facebook and type in. Usually I listen to you
I was going to say, usually
you
get on the phone and rip me. Now you could do it on Facebook. How about that?
I don't rip you. Hey, but here's the thing. Now, the Packers, first of all, how do you know Aaron Rodgers is getting paid too much?
What do you mean? How do I know he's getting paid too much?
Yeah, what's he getting paid? He has taken less money. In fact, just this year, he negotiated some so he can get out of his contract earlier if he chooses to. Rodgers has never been about
that. That was so he could have the flexibility to control his own destiny of where he goes to next.
Yeah, because he wanted to get out of there. But before Rodgers signed a contract and he could have renegotiated and gotten more, he's always stuck through his contracts. He's never pulled, hey, I got to get more money. Now, the Packers have not been to the Super Bowl, but they've been to 5 NFC championships, which is a little bit more than winning your division title. They get to the playoffs. They win games. They haven't won the Super Bowl.
The Bills
they haven't gotten back
NFC
there.
championship game?
Kind of. I mean, hey, I'll tell you what, how many other teams have been there 5 out of the past 10 years? As a fan, that's exciting. 13-3. This year will be 13-4, maybe 14-3. As a fan, just having Aaron Rodgers, every game we play, except for that first game of the season, maybe one a year, where, you just feel, hey, up until the end, it's just entertaining. It's 3 hours of incredible fun because we've got a quarterback that we know we can come back this year. I mean, one game this year, 37 seconds on the clock with no timeouts. Boom, the Packers pull it out. Drive down the field and score. So, and I have to agree with your thinking. I think it's good thinking. With Baker, I'm not a Baker hater. I think if they could get him to play like he did, the 7 or 8 last games of last season, they could go pretty far. But as far as now, because of I got to take the other side. Now, you're talking about having elite quarterbacks. Yes, you want to have them under a rookie contract, but out of the past 15 Super Bowls, it's always been an elite quarterback that won. Some of them were in their rookie contracts. I'm going back to Peyton, Eli, Roethlisberger, Breeze, then Rodgers. Each of these guys is a Hall of Famer except for one, and that's Nick Foles. Nick Foles won those 3 playoff games, not Carson Wentz. Nick Foles balled out, just like Joe Flacco did. Foles was like 6 TDs to 1 pick during that playoff run. Maybe it was even 7 to 1. He had a QB or a passer rating of like 115 or 118 or something. You've got to have an elite quarterback, or at least a guy play like an elite quarterback in the playoffs to have a chance. I'm looking at this list. Brady, Mahomes, Brady, Foles, Brady, Manning, Brady, Russell Wilson, Eli, Aaron Rodgers, Drew Brees, Roethlisberger, Eli, Payton. It keeps going back. So if you don't have an elite guy, you have to have at least an elite guy or a guy play like an elite guy. Flacco was the same thing, and that goes back even farther. You've got to have somebody that's going to be really good. Whether Baker's that guy or not, I don't know. But there's all kinds of great reasons why you want to have an elite quarterback on your team. Now, I want to talk to you about...
No, I agree. By the way, if of course, if you have your choice of an elite quarterback or a good quarterback, you go elite. But the problem is there's only a handful of elite quarterbacks in the league, and there's only one elite quarterback that takes team-friendly deals because he can, and that was Tom Brady for the longest time. That's why his name pops up on that list a lot. And by the way, and I agree, Nick Foles he outplayed Tom Brady in that Super Bowl. Yes, you need a quarterback that can play at an elite level, but Nick Foles was a backup for a reason. It's not as if the Eagles knew that. They were a feel-good story because they weren't supposed to win that Super Bowl with the backup quarterback. That's what made that so unique. And then people fell for it. That's why the Jags were dumb and gave him like a $25 or $30 million contract. And then, of course, that was one of the worst contracts floating around the league since then because he never returned to that form. So I know what you're saying, yes, but it's kind of hard to, that's why I'm like, if you know you could win with Baker and you know you're going to get him significantly cheaper than an Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers, of course, is better than Baker, but I think the type of player Baker is with the money he'll get, he's better for a roster trying to fulfill a roster with talent, as opposed to when you're the Packers, you have to really hope you draft well. You have to really hope that the middle end free agents you get play above what you're paying them. So there's a lot of hoping involved to where when you have more money, it doesn't guarantee it. Look at the Rams. It doesn't guarantee anything, but they feel better about their positioning than a team with an average quarterback or whatever that's just hoping these guys pan out. That's all.
Well, and you know what? There were guys, Julius Peppers wanted to come back and play with Aaron Rodgers and the Packers. That was one of the Rodgers' problems. There were guys that wanted to come back and either stay or come there for less money, and the Packers weren't doing it. Rodgers never complained about his receivers. He never complained about not getting somebody in the first round. Nobody's ever. You won't find a quote about Rodgers at any time in any place. He's about loyalty. He wanted Jake Kumro. Jake Kumro, the fourth receiver for the Bills, is who Rodgers wanted to keep. Rodgers, it's never been about the offense. It's been about getting some defensive leaders, having chemistry, things like that. People attribute things to Rodgers that are just simply not accurate. Julius Peppers, Clay Matthews wanted to come back. Clay Matthews goes to the Rams, and until he got hurt, he was the number 2 guy in the NFL with sacks. There was a lot of guys that wanted to play with Rodgers and guys that went there to play with Rodgers. And there were a lot of guys that were willing to take pay cuts to do so. But anyways, now we're going to talk about something else. You're talking about the Browns being hurt. I agree. But up until the COVID thing, this is from ESPN. They had an injury checkup on all 32 teams before the Browns COVID thing. This is right before you played the Ravens the second time when you guys beat the Ravens. This is how they're ranked. According to man games lost, the Ravens and the Packers have been hit the hardest of any team in the league. The Browns had starts missed because of injury, 32. Packers starts missed because of injury was 64. And these are all pros. These are Pro Bowlers. The Packers, were without. So, it's not just been the Browns that have been decimated by injuries. There's been other teams too. Once again, I want to clarify, I'm not talking about the COVID thing that wiped out, 20 guys. So there's been other teams that have won a lot of games with a lot of injuries. Now, how could the Packers do that?
But
the one man, Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, but the one man, you're talking about all those injuries. If Aaron Rodgers had shoulder issues and was injured, he wouldn't be Aaron Rodgers.
Well, hey, I'm not knocking Baker. I'm just saying that
Baker's not Aaron Rodgers by any means. But what I mean is Aaron Rodgers injured is still better than a healthy Baker Mayfield. They're not even close talent-wise. But all I'm saying is a lot of things have to go perfect for this Browns roster to click on all cylinders. And when they don't have those pieces in place, it just doesn't work. So the Packers, they miss some key pieces that allows them to work, but the number one piece that allows them to work is quarterback. If Baker's 100% healthy, I think that they do win a couple of these games that they've lost despite having all of these guys out. But, him being out there,
I don't doubt that. I don't doubt that at all.
Yeah.
All right. Hey, so what's our bet now?
Man, let's see. What's the line? I saw Packers were what, a 7-point favorite? I don't ever come out good on these bets, man. Like I'm
you
a little,
said they're going to
you
win.
name it. What do you
said
want?
They're going to win.
Huh?
Let's just bet a 6-pack of beer.
6-pack of beer. That's perfect.
Yeah.
I don't know where you live, but we're at Frickers every Sunday, so that's where we can do the exchange.
I'm in Kettering, man. I'll do the exchange with you.
Okay.
So
that'll that'll work.
All right, man.
All right,
Good
sir.
show. It's been fun this week.
Absolutely. You take care and have a Merry Christmas.
You too.
All right. Thanks. 518-1410. We got Ron. Ron, how are you, sir?
Hey, man, tonight I'm going to have to eat crow because I'm going to jump on your side on a couple things with that last call.
Oh, cool.
Okay.
It doesn't happen often.
Anyway,
It's a Christmas miracle.
Yeah, hey, whatever. It's the time of giving, So you can I'll receive later from you. So anyway, I am pulling for the Browns big time this week because they're a game on top of top seed. So if they can lose, they got 3 games left too, and the Bucks schedule is Panthers, Jets, Panthers. So they should run out, I would think. So I'm hoping that works out because we've already beat them in Lambeau. Why can't we beat them down in Tampa? You know what I mean? So anyway, like you said, he's got a history of not being successful. I've heard all about this defense. And if you look at it, how many games of that defense came within a field goal of losing? They're not that good. They're overrated. I think they're all right, but they're not NFC. I don't know. I don't see them going all the way.
Ron, I don't think there's an elite team in football this year. I don't think there's one elite team in football. I think that, the AFC is just one big jumbled mess of 7 and 8 win teams. The NFC actually has quite a few double-digit win teams already, but some of those teams you even look at and you're like, I don't know how I feel about them. For instance, the Dallas Cowboys 10-4. The Packers are 11-3. They're legitimate, but they still have some holes that I'm not confident putting money on them heading into the postseason. Your Bucks are 10-4. But they've kind of been in a little bit of a lull. The Cardinals are 10-4. They just lost to the damn Lions. And the Rams, you never know what you're going to get. They could be the Rams have the potential to be the best team in the NFL on both sides of the ball, but they haven't been consistent enough either. It's been a weird year in the NFL.
Correct. And like earlier, you were talking about putting all your money in your QB. You didn't mention Dallas Cowboys. That team could be window being closing real quick because they put all that money in Prescott.
I agree.
They put all that money in Prescott, But anyway, I just wanted to wish you a Merry Christmas. Have a happy holiday. I love the show. All my haters out there, and go Dogs. Woo, 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 woo.
All right. I saw he's like, I don't got nothing for him, man. Speaking of, shout out to Steve from Springboro, by the way. A lot of people keep calling for Steve from Springboro to call in. Steve from Springboro. Actually, yes. Steve, if you're listening, give us a call. 518-14. I want to hear from Steve from Springboro. We'll even get the Hulk Hogan music all queued up. Love to hear from Steve from Springboro, the true American. In fact, we're going to give him a few minutes during this commercial break. We're going to give him time to call in, and we'll get him queued up. I want to hear from Steve from Springboro as we head into the Christmas Day matchup between the Packers and the Browns. The Browns lose on Saturday. Their playoff window is officially shut. Right now, the window is cracked just for a slight breeze to come in. But I do think that Aaron Rodgers can shut that playoff window completely shut this coming up Saturday. But, man, they beat the Packers. Now you have the Steelers and the Bengals back-to-back weeks. That playoff window goes from cracked to halfway open, and then I like the Browns' chances from there. But, man, this is a must-win game for the Browns, and it stinks that the must-win game becomes this one because had you beat the Raiders, you could have afforded a loss to Green Bay coming up. But you lost to the Raiders in heartbreaking fashion despite everyone out. But you know what? No one really cares about that. That's why I said yesterday, I'm annoyed with the loss, but I'm not going to make excuses, as far as that's concerned, because look at the Ravens. They had a bunch of guys out. They nearly beat the Packers this past weekend. Injuries happen all the time. It's going to be part of it, but I do think it's catching up with Cleveland. Cleveland has had too many of these games with mass amount of guys out. That's been the unfortunate thing. So, all right, 518 1410, that's the number to call in. We close out the show on the other side. Steve from Springboro, where are you at? That's what all the Bengals fans want for Christmas. They want to hear from Steve from Springboro. The Browns fans want to hear from you, too. We'll be back in a moment.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, right here on ESPN 1410 Wing AM.
Take home Fricker's Holiday Feast. Frickin' yum, 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 yum. Our gift cards always pleased. Frickin' yum, 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 yum.
Take home 4 pounds of frickin' chicken chunks for only $29.99, carry out only. Buy a $25 Frickers gift card and you'll get 5 frickin' bonus bucks free. The ho, ho, ho! For fun, food, sports, and spirits, Frickers.
Frickin' yum, yum.
BC Powder knows life pushes us to the max. Work to the max. Family to the max. It can all mean pain to the max. So BC introduces new BC Max Strength. New BC Max relieves tough headaches and body pain at the speed of powder. Nothing stronger on pain without a prescription. Pain to the max? New BC Max. In a great tasting lemonade flavor.
Jay Farner here, CEO of Rocket Companies. If you thought you missed your chance to refinance and save, think again. Mortgage rates have recently dropped below 3%, and Rocket Mortgage can help you save big. You could lower your monthly payment and prepare yourself for a better financial future. But you've got to act now. Call us today at 833-8ROCKET or go to rocketmortgage.com.
Rocket. Conditions apply. Equal housing lender licensed in all 50 states. NMLSconsumeraccess.org number 3030.
Family owned and operated for 3 generations. Collett Propane is proud to serve the greater Miami Valley. Let our family help protect your family from old man winter. Find out why 98% of our customers would recommend us to friends and family. Find us online at collettpropane.com or visit us in Xenia, Wilmington, or Lebanon. Collett Propane, proudly keeping the Miami Valley warm for over 65 years.
If you need new roofing, siding, or gutters, skylights, or patio enclosures, if you're a homeowner or business and need someone you can trust, don't take a chance. Enhance with Lance. Lance Roofing and Siding in Fairborn has been satisfying customers since 1993 and hold an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau. Lance Roofing and Siding, 8460 Dayton Springfield Road in Fairborn. Call for a free estimate at 864-2722. That's 864-2722 or online at lanceroofing.com.
There are many ways to catch the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash on 1410 ESPN Radio, weekdays from 3 to 6 p.m. You can catch it live right here on 1410 Wing AM, or you can stream the show at wingam.com. But now we have another way that you can take in the show. You can now watch the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash live on ESPN Dayton's Facebook page. Listen, stream, watch. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, weekdays from 3 to 6 p.m. on 1410 ESPN Radio.
All right, welcome back. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash on Dayton's ESPN radio station. Final segment of the show before I take off for the rest of the year. This is the last show of the year. Actually, that's not technically true. Mark Neal will be in tomorrow to fill in with Shay Neal, of course, on tomorrow's episode of the final show before, of course, heading into Christmas Eve. Holy smokes, it's here. What in the world? It's here. Like, I mean, this has been a weird year, just like last year, but like this year with us just buying a house. Shout out Brad Mays, Home Experts Realty. Give him a call. Let me make sure. Hey, speaking of that, Brad Mays with Home Experts Realty. Got to give him some love one more time. Brad Mays, Home Experts Realty, 937-572-7425. Give Brad a call today, whether you're looking to buy or sell your home. Brad is the guy to call. My fiance and I, we just purchased our first home together. I can't tell you how excited I am, but then, of course, we were kind of down. We decided to buy a home in December. Who the hell buys a home in December? I'm like, oh, yeah, we got Christmas. Now I got to tell everyone, hey, we don't have money for you to buy you Christmas presents this year. At least that was the plan. Every year I always do that. Like, hey, we have a lot going on this year. We're going to tell everyone they're getting gift cards. We never get people gift cards because then we feel bad. So we got to get everyone. It's just a mess. This year, it's interesting though, but excited to finally get to move in. That's what we'll be doing. Spending our time all next week after spending some time with family for the holidays is coming up. But again, can't believe it's already Christmas time and the new year coming up just around the corner. Want to give a shout out. Dayton Flyers, they beat Southern last night. They had a huge double-digit lead over Southern in that second half, and then Southern came screaming back. UD turning the ball over left and right, just a mess. They were able to hold them off. They get that win, but it was just one of those where, again, sometimes wins don't feel like wins, and that didn't feel like a good win yesterday. I mean, not a good win, but it just didn't feel good. It's better than losing. If you're the Dayton Flyers, playing poorly and down that final stretch against Southern, still coming away with the win. That's a lot better than when you lost to Lipscomb and UMass Lowell and obviously Austin Peay. So it's good to come out on top. But, man, you still see, just when you think that team's figured it out, some of the team's struggles come roaring right back. And that's what's frustrating. And it's at the point now where it's a young team this year. You're going to see that a lot. I mean, you're 2 months into the season now. You've played all in November. You've played all in December. I'm not saying you're a finished product by any means, but, you've played enough games at this point that it's like, okay, you got to start fixing some of those things. The mistakes you were making at the beginning of the year, you shouldn't be making now. You should be getting better. And I don't know if UD is getting better. Like, they play really bad, then they play well, and then they play bad. And I don't want to hear, because of youth and all that stuff. Like, these are higher-end college basketball players. We brag all the time about the Dayton Flyers getting some of the best talent in these classes coming in decades, right? Like, this is, right now, recruiting for UD, the number one class they've ever had come in. Fantastic players. You kind of hold them to a higher standard than just saying they're not your typical freshmen coming in. These are elite freshmen coming in. You got to hold them to that standard. So you need to see them getting better because the A10 is winnable this year. Like, UD can take care of business in the A10. I didn't think so coming in, but even the top teams that were projected to be, elite at the top, they're not elite. Like, UD could finish anywhere in the top 4 and they could finish between 5 and 8. They could finish anyway. I have no clue what to expect. But I would like to see them continue to get better. And it's like they show signs of it and then they regress. I thought they regressed yesterday, and that's not okay. I also don't like teams who play down to the level of their opponent. Like, at some point, this team's too young for you to have to play a good team to play well. Like, you got to learn how to be motivated to play no matter who. That's why I got annoyed last year with Flyer fans who were trying to make excuses of, you got to understand, they didn't, the arenas were empty. I don't care. That's a perk. That's a plus. That's that's a privilege to get to play in front of 13,000 fans at UD Arena. That's a privilege. And to be able to experience that privilege, you have to do a lot of hard work to achieve that. I think that's kind of signs of being a mentally weak team that you have to have a loud atmosphere to play well in. UD fans love to poke fun at the Nutter Center and how empty it is. Well, they don't need 11,000 fans to motivate them to play. They have to find their own way to come up with that passion to play. So I don't like that excuse. Some of the best things about Dayton Flyers basketball is that arena, is that atmosphere, is those fans. And those fans were there last night. But then it's like, okay, well, then last year was, we didn't have fans to play in front of. That really hurt us. Well, that's a weak excuse. You shouldn't have to have fans to motivate you to play. It's basketball. It's a game, and you need fans to motivate you to play. Don't poke fun at the team across town then for not having any fans because they find ways to motivate themselves to play. They do it year in and year out. So I don't want to hear that. Last night you had fans, but you play down to the level of your opponent. That's not acceptable, especially at this time of year. And sometimes you are who you are. I think they are who they are at this point. And I don't know if that's a good thing. You got to find a way to get better. Sure, they've shown signs of getting better, but you can't keep regressing. And I feel like they've regressed again last night. We'll see if they can find a way to kind of flip that switch again coming into A10 play. Wright State last night, they were on the road at North Carolina State, at NC State out of the ACC. They came away with the double-digit ACC road victory, 84-70, the final. What a heck of a game because Wright State, whatever happened at halftime, so they had Tennessee Tech this past Saturday. Whatever Coach Nagy said to his team at halftime of that Tennessee Tech game, it's worked because they came out and just blitzed Tennessee Tech in the second half, came away with the big win there, and then they picked up right where they left off, and they were the better team. That was crazy. It wasn't like, oh, man, they were trailing by 4 or 5 and they were hanging around and then were able to kind of catch a few breaks late. It was NC State who constantly tried to get back into the game, and then Wright State would hit some big threes, get some big defensive stops and blocks. Like, Coach Nagy is one hell of a coach, man. I'm telling you right now, if you could take Anthony Grant's recruiting ability with Coach Nagy's ability to coach in game, you couldn't stop him. Like, that's how good qualities of both coaches are great, but you combine them, my goodness. I mean, especially, you want to talk about the talent that goes to UD. And, you look at Coach Nagy, who doesn't get that kind of talent, but he coaches talent up. I think it would be, you combine the best traits of both coaches, you get an elite coach right there. That's how good both of these guys are. But, man, Coach Nagy does such a fantastic job with this group, and year in and year out. I mean, 500-plus wins as a coach. The guy knows what he's doing. And I thought last night, that was on full display. I mean, for the Raiders out of the Horizon League to get a win on the road against an ACC opponent, by the way, a good one. Wright State just a few weeks ago, by the way, they got blitzed by Akron 66-48. It was awful this past week. A few weeks ago, Wright State lost 96-52 against Purdue. Purdue, number 6 in the country, 96-52. NC State had a 10-point lead on Purdue and ultimately ended up losing in overtime against Purdue, and Wright State punched them by 14 on the road. That's that's pretty damn impressive. Horizon League schools, you don't see them going on the road and beating Power 5 schools. Yes, that's that gap between UD and Horizon League. I get that, but at the same time, that is huge, and that's that confidence they needed heading into conference play. So at the end of the day, no matter what, both teams have to win their conference tournament to make the NCAA tournament. That's just the reality of it. But I think Wright State feels better about who they are heading into their conference season than what UD does at this time. But I just think too many examples of UD playing down to the level of their opponent. That's not a good thing, especially when you head into a A10 season where there's not a lot of elite teams in the A10. You're going to be playing a lot of teams that they could potentially play down to the level of their opponent. But that has to be fixed. And that's coaching too. It's up to the coaches to get your team motivated to play. And I've never been a big believer in needing someone to motivate me to play. I hate that excuse, by the way. Like, as an athlete, you need me to say, hey, go play hard? What? I've never understood that, how you can come out flat with no energy. Like, that doesn't make any sense. You only get so many of these games as a college athlete, and you come out flat multiple times against bad teams. Like that, whatever it is, I don't know what buttons have to be pushed at practice, but that needs to be fixed. You should be frustrated with last night's game. I know it was a win, but that kind of opponent, when you beat Kansas and you beat Miami and you beat Belmont and, you beat Ole Miss, you take care of business against these types of teams, and then, or Virginia Tech, I'm sorry, you take care of business against these bigger Power 5 schools on the regular, but then you struggle with the Southerns and the Lipscombs. That's not acceptable. And I thought that they had put that in the past, but last night watching them struggle to close out that game, I'm like, what are you guys doing? I don't want to hear because of youth, by the way. The concept of basketball doesn't change. Don't turn it over. Put the ball on the hoop, get stops. It's not that hard, especially against teams like Southern. It's not that hard. All right, folks, that wraps it up for me here today. Mark Neal in tomorrow, and we'll be back in the new year. Again, Buckeye football. Hopefully we get that damn Rose Bowl game in, right? With all these COVID cancellations, the College Football Playoff Committee, they made some COVID protocols today that dates aren't being moved. These games will not be moved. And if a team can't go out and compete because of a COVID-depleted roster, it's a forfeit. A national champion can be crowned due to forfeiture. I think that's a disaster. I think that's I think that's a huge mistake on the side of the College Football Playoff. But it is what it is. What a crazy year. All right, folks, have a great night. We'll do this again tomorrow. Until then, it's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Brad Mays with Home Experts Realty, Orion Sports Medicine, and Tim's Bar and Grille on Brown Street. Take care.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash.
Justin, you're awesome, baby.
Right here on 1410 ESPN Radio. WING 1410 Dayton. Dayton's ESPN Radio.
Fever is a potential sign of COVID or the flu, and the Exergen Temporal Scanner Thermometer has been proven accurate with more than 100 clinical studies. Be vigilant and seek medical advice at the first sign of fever. Be accurate with Exergen. Exergen Temporal Scanners, available